All right, everyone, I think we're live. What's up, y'all? Thank you for joining us tonight for a special edition of the Tattoo Collecting Podcast hosted by Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus. Tonight's going to be unique. Fawn is joining us from Tampa with Derb Morrison from Ink the Bay. Tonight, we're going to touch on conventions and traveling in general, how to prepare and what to expect. Tattooers and collectors, this show is a great resource for you to talk about and educate yourself about tattoo collecting, art and aliens, tech, and more. And I'll be right back, actually. Sorry about that. So tattooers and collectors, this show is a great resource for you to talk about and educate yourself on tattoo collecting, art and aliens, tech, and much more. We're beaming out to several different places, so if you're watching, tag a friend in the chat or share where you're watching from. Of course, positive reviews and comments are always welcome. All of these Reinventing Network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, and webinars can be watched anytime at reinventing247.com. And on our new Roku channel, just go into Roku and search for Reinventing the Tattoo, and our content is always playing. We have several weekly shows and drawing groups that you guys are welcome to tune into or to hop in on the call with us. It's really easy. You can also set reminders for all of our upcoming events on our YouTube channel. Otherwise, catch us live on Sundays at 1 p.m. with Jason Leeser. This is a great show to bring something you're working on or have questions about and get a straightforward, honest answer and a really nice judgment-free atmosphere. Mondays at 9 p.m. is the evening evolution class led by the legendary Guy Aitchison. The first trimester is underway right now. You can head over to classrooms.reinventingthetattoo.com to find out more or to check out our new learning platform. You can also join us on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. with Ricardo Sturdivant, Wednesdays at noon for the Tattoo Now show. And also every other Wednesday, Gabe and I are going to be hosting a business class where we're going to be putting together a benefit from start to finish. It's very interesting. If you guys would like more information, again, classrooms.reinventingthetattoo.com. Also, every Thursday at noon is a tattoo collecting podcast. We have several upcoming real world events that we're getting ready to gear up for. You guys can all catch us at Hell City in Columbus, Ohio at the end of May. The Indianapolis Tattoo Expo and Ink Mania in June. We'll also be at the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational on July 29th and Hell City, Phoenix on August 26th. Before we kick off with Ben, Jordan, and Fawn, we'd like to shout out some of our sponsors for helping provide this content to all of you guys for free. We've got World Tattoo Events, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events in the world. Raw Pigments at rawpigments.co, an ink company that is tapping into the source with acrylic-free inks that have been impressing artists all across the globe. We also got Tattoo Now with technology for tattooers, and the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo, Guy Aitchison. You can find Guy's Biomech Encyclopedia, DVDs, machines, paintings, and more at guyaitchison.com. Thank you to all of our affiliates for pulling this together as well. Fireside Tattoo Network, The Apprenticeship Diaries, and ecofriendlytattoosupplies.com. If you guys are interested in joining in live streams like this, you can go to reinventingthetattoo.com, scroll down to our calendar, and click the event that you'd like to join. In the event description, you'll see a Zoom link. If you click it, check your audio and video, you're in. If you'd like to host a Reinventing an event or to sponsor our community, just send us a message at management@reinventingthetattoo.com. I'm going to jump off now. I'll be in the background reading off comments, all that good stuff. So let's bring in Ben and Jordan to kick off the show.
Hey, Lauren, thank you for that intro.
Yeah, I had a little visitor halfway in, so sorry about that.
Amazing. You never apologize for children. They're amazing.
That's funny.
They're small.
Yep.
They're small. They're
very cute.
Living their lives the best they can.
Yep. What episode is this?
Yes, I think it's a 78.
78.
Wow.
I was wondering if we
Holy cow.
reached 80 yet, but that's
Soon.
crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Yeah, what type of fun have you guys been having lately?
What type of fun have we been having lately? I don't know. A
work
lot of
a
chilling, a lot of
job.
working, a lot of chilling, playing some video games here and there.
Is your back healed up yet, or how's that going for you?
Yeah, that took like 4 or 5 days, if that. I felt like it
That's
was
amazing.
so healed up so quick.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I'm going to jump off out of here in a little bit. If you guys,
Sweet. Yeah. We pretty much got this. Will you hang out for just one more moment?
sure. So, Ben, the last time I saw you was at Red Tree. It was actually the first time I met you in the real world.
Yeah.
That was cool. I think I was like speechless at one of the tattoo collecting like round tables or something like that. It was a unique experience, we'll say.
I have I am very new to being in this level of involvement in the tattoo industry and world and people, and so it's still kind of shocking to me as well sometimes to be in those kinds of environments. So just to meet everybody and everybody at the same time and same place and hanging out and saying hey was really cool, because it's been screens for a long time, and I'm pretty old school. I like to see and be with people.
Yeah.
I need that energy. I need that vibe. There's something that's kind of lost over screens for me. So it was really, really nice to sit down and actually connect and meet everybody and hang out for a minute.
Yeah.
I know that we were hanging out or whatever. I think you might have been there, and Derb was in the back, and he's like, right now we spend about 30% of our attention into our phones, and they're projecting soon it would be about 80%. I'm like, oh, holy shit. That's pretty intense.
It's crazy to think about how we've just grown to accept that is now our social interaction. It's not even a question anymore. The majority of people find the majority of their social interaction through their phone. If it's their calendar going off from Google, if it's a Facebook event, if it's someone texting them to go do something, it's a required attention 24/7. It's just something you don't think about. So it's really refreshing to be in a room of people that you don't want to look at your phone. You want to look in their eyes and interact and engage and be involved and get to absorb people for a minute. It's a game changer for me.
What's up? Is Emily hopping on too?
Yep. Emily's here with us as well. She was kind of behind the camera, but now she is here up front.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to take that and jump off. Emily, great to see you again. And you guys enjoy your show.
Good to see you, Lauren. We'll talk soon.
Good to see you
Yep.
too.
Bye, Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Well, sweet guys. We got some cool convention stuff coming up. Hell City's coming up. Ben, are you coming?
Coming. That's my jam, buddy. Coming.
Hey,
I'm probably the first one in the
I've
door and
never
the
even-
last one to go.
honestly,
Let me tell you.
it's crazy. It's crazy that I've never even been.
Wait, you've never
I've
been?
never even been to Hell City.
Wow.
I came here so stoked that like, fuck yeah, we're gonna be at Hell City, and then COVID. Bam.
And then it was like, nah, you get nothing.
It's like, nah, you're gonna wait. You're gonna see if you really like this
You
for a
get to
while before you
hang.
just jump into Hell
You
City.
get to hang.
That's okay though. I like it.
I'd rather throw the party than go to the party all day, every day. So being involved in that level of an event tickles my fancy.
Same.
I love it. I love watching the planning go into action and everything get orchestrated and the entertainment value and like that. Man, I love it.
That's seriously what I think about when I'm at any event. Even
Mhm.
if I have nothing to do or don't know the organizers, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, how much did that marketing cost?
Right.
That's a cool trick you did there. Like, where do I get that swag item
Yep.
from? You know what I mean? I think it's really interesting. And I'm excited to see the Red Tree crew do that.
Yeah.
Everyone's so talented as artists, but also as like, Derb's a fucking go-getter. So
And
I want
they're-
to see him
They're all
on.
convention
Yeah.
like vets. You know what I mean? Everybody that there's
I've never even got to see Derb in his Hell City like
Mode.
You know, like it's
Um,
side of him. I've seen him at every convention that we went to, but and everyone treats him like they treat him at Hell City, but like it's always
Right.
at every other convention.
Well,
So I'm excited to
it's
see him in his
different
element.
when your attention is on 30 different things at the same time, making sure, because I mean, all the events overlap.
Yep.
All the heads of those events all need attention. So it's one of those times when you get to see someone in their zone of genius just be like bing,
Yeah.
and watch him just the way he can just move through the crowd, and his PR talent is it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. And then at the end of the day, see him go. It's a blast.
I can't wait.
So it's our job as crew to mitigate that damage. You know what I mean? If there's things we can do that we know we're supposed to do to stay out of the way and keep questions out of his ear, that's the biggest part.
Todd, what up, guys?
What's up,
Hey,
brother? How
Todd.
are you?
How's Todd doing? What you up to? You said you playing poker?
Nope, he's out. He got a wave. We got a wave in from Todd. That was it.
Peace, Todd.
They busted me on
Good
my
to see
phone in
you.
the casino.
That's so funny. Sorry, I'm finagling so much, guys.
Live La Vida
Sometimes-
Loca, bud.
Life takes some finagling, and I'm not letting the tech demons get to me.
Live La Vida Loca.
Just a little extra. A cord of loca.
I mean,
There's always a cord.
that's the problem with any AV.
There's always
It's always a cord. No
There's
matter what the
always a
problem is.
cord.
Did you check the cord? Yeah, it's probably fine.
Ah, that's what the cord was for. Thank you.
Oh, that extra cord.
She's
We
like-
had more.
I just choked right here.
Yeah, so Hell City is going to be a bunch of fun. I can't wait. How's the setup process? Is that pretty fun?
It's not too bad. They've really I don't want to say lightened the show because the impact of what is done is the same, but the banners aren't 50 pounds anymore. The stage goes up a lot faster because they've streamlined the process. They know exactly what needs to be set up in years past. So it's nice to be in a well-oiled machine. It's nice to be in the same place all the time. They know the Hyatt, they know the people there, they know the setup, we know the dimensions of the you know what I mean? Like, so you walk in, you knock it out, you get the job done. It's a seniored crew. Most of the people that are on the crew have been involved for multiple years. So the people that come in that know their jobs grab a helper, for lack of a better term, someone that's newer and doesn't really know all the assignments, and it can go pretty smooth, or it can go to beat your head against the wall. But I've never been in one that was a disaster ever. It's fun to be a part of a well-oiled machine, and at the end of the night to look at each other and be like, hey, we did that.
Awesome.
That's us. We did all that.
It's such a good feeling.
So to walk in blank ballroom, pushing in road cases to watch this
Huge thing that's about to happen when it's just totally empty and you're like, this shit's about to be pop off.
and then you're standing main stage Saturday night and you turn around and there's elbow room behind every aspect of the stage, and you've been sitting there all day, so you haven't been watching the crowd pack. So you finally turn around and the room's just assholes to elbows. Everybody's into what's going on, focused, cheering for the stage show, tattoo competition, whatever's going on. It's just a vibe you can't manufacture ever. That's why I love shows. That's why I love comedy events. That's why I like music of any size, shape, sort. You know what I mean? Like it's an energy.
It comes from the
can't
culmination
fake,
of
man.
all those elements.
Yeah.
The experience of those elements and like the way each one has, the tattoo experience, just like even when it comes to the tattooers that are there, and like the level of tattooers that are there, the level of work it takes to put it on,
Right.
how many years he's been doing it, and just how a well-oiled machine, how well it all just runs through and through.
As someone who's pretty vague in their tattoo people knowledge, I'm pretty spoiled in having that as the base. You know what I mean? Like that group is vetted. There's no slouches there. It's nice to be able to just go booth to booth to booth to booth and know
Everyone's
there's
killing it.
time well spent. Like there's
No one's sitting there probably on their phone the
not
entire
a
time.
not a
just
boring
like,
corner, we'll say.
I'm excited. It'll be my first tattoo convention, so excited to
Nice.
do it with Red Tree.
Nice.
right, stepping right into the high tier.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I happenstanced into the Red Tree crew. Like, I didn't really. I'm not a tattooer. I didn't work for Derb. You know what I mean? Like, my buddies got jobs at Red Tree when it was still on 4th, when I was still getting tattooed by them heavily. You know what I mean? So it was like I kind of like transferred to that shop a little bit, and then it never looked back. I worked every show since then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
How many years? No,
oh, I want to say this is my 5th
5th year.
or 6th. It depends, because like first couple of years you just kind of work security. You don't get real jobs. You get to sit at the front door and check wristbands and do stuff bags, and your volunteer help. You volunteer for, I think it's 3 years. I don't want to set a precedent out there. I don't want to say that this is the rules or anything.
This is the way it
the
has
loose-
seemed to have been.
The loose term of how people get acquired is most of the time people volunteer for a few years. And if you actually work while you're there instead of just absorb, you get invited to be on the actual, like, here, you get an email with the plan instead of just show up at 10 and we'll find something for you to do. Thanks for hanging out. Enjoy the show when you're done working. Yeah. So there's a little bit like 2 tiers of crew there, you know?
Yeah.
but the people that are, I don't want to say employees because none of us are employees. We all love to be there. Like, it's not a job, it's a passion. So like the people that are the main crew there know their job so well. It's real
Cake.
easy.
Hell yeah.
It's real easy. I'm not saying it's not stressful. I'm not saying it's not work, but it's manageable and it's
But man, when it's something you
gratifying.
care about and it's done well, like it gives you a sense of pride. Like you
Right.
said, to sit there and look back and be like, I did this shit.
Yep.
Like we did this shit.
Yep.
People I love did this shit.
Right. And then you see the amount of respect that is given from it, from the entire community and like everyone that is involved, you know, whether it be someone who's tattooed, an artist, or
But that really makes
anyone
the
in that
difference in an event. That's my big problem with so many events, especially in the cannabis industry.
The hollow.
It's always like, cool, we'll spend money on all this shit, but we forget about like the people it takes to do it. So they're like, oh, we'll just get anyone to do wristbands or whatever. No, you still, even the volunteer jobs, people need to want to be there.
Yeah.
People care about how they were treated when they get the wristband. They care about the security and if you're nice to them and make them feel safe and comfortable.
Yep.
So many companies and just events skip out on all that shit and phone it in. Pick a, $12 an hour crew to walk around and like, damn,
Our crew is
the
our
vibe changes.
people.
Yeah.
It's not an event staff
Yeah.
that was hired in neon shirts that know the
Right.
3 rules that they were given to enforce, and only those 3 rules. And can't tell you where the bathroom is. 'Cause my job is to put on wristbands.
Yes.
right.
So like,
It makes such a huge difference. You know
It's
what I mean? Not saying
nice.
people in those positions aren't great and do wonderful
no,
jobs.
there's a show for that.
Yes.
There's a show for that. But when
Yes.
you're in that, tattoo shows are exposing.
Yeah. They're intimate.
They're extremely intimate. The people that are there working see the same people ad nauseum for 12 hours a day for 3 days in a row. You learn to love each other if you want to or not. As far as guests are, they're stimulated the entire time by shows, sounds, live entertainment, tattoos going on. People that are getting tattoos are nervous, anxious, exposed, body parts out and open. Like, so it's a very controlled, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know. It's a different vibe than you'll get anywhere else.
And everyone's stoked to be there.
Majority of the time.
I would imagine.
I mean,
I can't speak for everybody.
I can't
Some
ever say
people
I've
are
seen
working a
people
little
like
harder
walking
than
around
others.
frowning.
Right. So I mean, I guess more or less the people that are working it.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
so you don't got work people that are working that are just there just to work and then like, yeah, another fucking convention. Like, cool, yeah, I just work conventions.
Yeah.
I do, the wristbands and all that. But you got people that legitimately care about all of it, like to the highest degree. So it's like,
Right.
everyone's caring. Everyone wants everyone to have a great time.
Well, and it's a, like we said, it's a sense of pride. It's a sense of ownership. It's it's harder to let down people that are close to you and not an employee. You know what I mean? Like you're
You're not screwing
involved.
over a boss, you're screwing over your friends.
Right,
you
right.
know?
It's not screwing over.
Well,
It's
just
yeah,
if you're
I
not giving it your all,
Right. Broad stroke. I get you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a fun place, and it's a time of year that I only get to see the people that I only see at Hill City. All the people that
special.
live across states, and the Phoenix crew that comes in and joins us. Like it's the chance to catch up with those people I only see a few times a year and feel important and relevant.
I'm so
Oh, yeah.
excited for the Phoenix show. I love Arizona so much. I love
You-
the desert.
See, Phoenix is a whole other animal. I think it's on. It's so nice. It's daunting. Like when you're in the main hotel, it's just one of those like I don't want to touch anything places. It's just so nice. It's gorgeous. Everything's beautiful. There's like 38,654 pools. Oh, you turn a corner. Look, another pool. What's over there? Is that a pool? Oh wait, is that another pool? No, it's 100 and something every day, but like there's 38 pools, so it works out. That
That's
show's
awesome. If you're not getting
super
tattooed.
streamlined. It's all in one room, so it's a lot more intimate. Columbus is so big; they've taken over multiple floors, and it's takes time to walk through and enjoy everything. Not that Phoenix doesn't, it's still jam packed. It's just everything's in one giant room. So it's
Right, easier to,
It's
just
easier
kind of
to
get the layout right away and see what's going on.
it's easier to set up. It's easier to see everything. It's easy to keep everybody entertained under one stage. It's a lot of fun. I've only worked the Phoenix show once, but had a blast.
Yeah.
Had a blast. Now you're traveling with the crew. Now, you know what I mean? Like it's a whole other vibe when you're catching planes and setting up somewhere you don't really, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think I would be a carny if they paid well, you know?
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I can't wait to be a part.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time.
Get some top shelf. Oh,
What's going on?
stuck in traffic.
Uh-oh. Where are they? What show are they at?
Oh, they're in Florida.
Florida, our
At
Tampa
the Ink
affiliates.
the Bay or Bay Ink
Our
Festival.
Bay Ink Festival affiliates.
Mhm. I'm saying it wrong.
I was
don't know
trying to
what
be
it is.
clever and just dropped the ball.
Yep, they're out there doing their thing. They're about to join in now at some point here. So we're here for it.
They're out doing the convention thing, out hitting a few shows before Hell City, getting warmed up, I guess.
Yep, and they're going to join in. We're going to talk more about conventions.
I'm gonna be real honest. I've really only gone to Hell City, and then the one time we went to Villain Arts show. I'm not a convention junkie by any means. Like I don't hate them. I enjoy the thing. It's just not something that I don't want to say I have a reason to go to. I love it. It's just not something that makes it to the front of my calendar.
Yeah, no, for
Like,
sure.
And it's
I
not
feel
like
it.
you have a ton of real estate.
Yeah,
To
I'm
give
not
up.
shopping.
Yeah,
I'm just enjoying
exactly.
the experience. So
Right. There was a time where I cared a lot more, where I was going to a lot more, and COVID hit and really kind of slowed me down on that. Like I felt like I was kind of speeding up on things until
Right.
COVID hit, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we'll just stop that thought completely for a while. But I would say I've probably been to at least 10 to 15 conventions.
Right.
and worked them, but a lot of those were like the same city, multiple years.
right.
And stuff. I think all of them except for a couple of them were all Villain Arts ones. And definitely always Hell City was like my top tier. That was like, God, I hope to get in Hell City. I can't wait to get in. I actually never even applied to get in. I just like always wanted to. But it was like, oh, my work's not good enough yet. And like, maybe one
Now
day,
you're
and
on
just
home
kind of
team.
procrastinated it. I didn't do it. But it was because it was like the higher tier in my head. It was like, I was like, I'll apply when the time is right.
Right. What's right? Now you're setting the booth up.
It's crazy. Crazy. Life's wild.
Look at you, home team.
Home team.
Home team.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it goes. I can't wait to be tattooing there. I think that's really cool. I think the last 4 or 5 conventions I've been to, I don't think I'd even tattooed, because I think those ones were probably here with Durban, just doing true tube stuff.
Right. The first time I went to Hell City, I got tattooed. And it was like, I was still super new to being tattooed as well. And Rich Cook tattooed me like upstairs. What, did you mess it up?
Oh no, I'm just listening because this is about to be me.
And it was a little bit different, you know what I mean? Like that being that busy of an environment, and people walking by and everybody stopping at the booth to talk, and it was just hard to settle into your groove and block it all out, you know what I mean? That was the first time I met Marty Holcomb. I remember Rich was working, and he literally stops and he's like, hey bud, I gotta stop for a minute. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. What? He's like, it's Marty fucking Holcomb. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, that's fair. And like he stopped and took a picture with him. Like it was a big deal to him as well. And I was like, oh, okay, I see why we do these things now.
Right.
I worked the next year. Like,
Yep. Right away. That's awesome.
yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. What a thing.
It's its own little animal.
It's definitely fair. Like your first couple conventions, like I don't know, from the perspective of someone working it, for me was definitely wild, because I was someone at that point where like you know, I was okay with people watching me, but that was after tattooing for a long time and like really adapting to my, like, because I was someone who was not cool with that when I first started everything. Way back when I used to paint and draw before I was a tattooer and started tattooing, I was still maybe kind of uncomfortable when people would watch hardcore and just look at everything. I was so worried about mistakes and things like that. So it took a while to be really comfortable with that. And then starting the convention thing and being someone who gets anxiety around a ton of people like that. It was definitely really wild to adapt to like tattooing and having like so many people come up and talk to you while you're working and things like that. Like a part of me wants to just put headphones in, but that almost makes things worse. I'm even worse when I cut myself off from everything that's going on. Then I take my headphones off and I feel like I'm tripping. I'm like, where the fuck have I been for like ever? And just a cacophony of noise around me. I'm not focused and tuned in on anybody. I haven't conversated with anyone. I'm in my own little bubble. And some people love that, and a part of me used to love that. Now I don't know. I love like the communicating with people, like having them come up and talking to random people that are from across the country that are like, holy shit, I'd love to get tattooed by. And he's like, cool. Like here's my card. Here's this and this and this, and you know maybe you never talk to him again. But like I swear to God, of course so many times I've had. Most of my traveling clients, I feel like, met me at like a convention or something, or just like, your work's really cool. And then months later was like, oh yeah, hey, I want to travel out to get tattooed.
By the way, I'm on my way.
Right. Or it's like, I'll go guest spot or something like that. And then they happen to be like, a couple states away when they're, I'm like 10 states away. When I go like, I'll go to like, I used to go to Seattle a lot. So like California people would drive to Seattle.
Nice.
To get tattooed.
See, that's a fun way to set it up too. Like, hey, I'm planning a trip to somewhere nearer you. Come.
Right.
Hey. Come ahead.
Right. That just kind of naturally did its thing when like people would see my stories or something like that and be like, oh, you're close and stuff. And fuck yeah. Yep. And then now those people from California, since I'm not going to Seattle a lot every once in a great while. It's been a couple years now, but yeah.
Come to the great state of Ohio.
Yeah.
OH. I really hate when people do that, and I'm sorry that it came out of my mouth. What? I was like, OH.
I've never heard that, so that was new.
Oh,
is that a thing people do?
Really? You've never heard obnoxious people yell OH and then everybody in the room reply IO?
No. I've never been to like an Ohio event yet.
Oh no. Oh, just during football season.
OH.
You can be at like fucking Target or Kroger and just some random dude in a jersey.
Is it like an OSU thing?
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. So the same thing when someone finds out I went state and they say go green and then I have to say go white.
Yeah.
It hurt you if you don't. If you don't like say back.
Sports ball's dumb. Normally when people yell OH, I go, oh no. But
that's funny.
It's ridiculous. I don't sports ball. It's never been a thing.
You don't what?
I don't sports ball. It's never been a thing.
I've never been a sports ball person. No, Emily does love the sports.
She
was definitely an athletic one when she was young.
Yeah. Yep. I still
but she was a champion, it sounds like.
For a division or class B girls high school team in the Thumb of Michigan, I was a champion for sure.
Get it in what?
But I still do love going to events. Mainly, I like competition. I like being like, oh yeah, fucking nice shot, good shot. Even if I don't know who's playing, that's where I get in trouble because like I don't care. I'll go watch anyone. Then people get like offended that I don't care more. Like, you have a favorite team? I'm like, I don't know any of these guys' names, but I like basketball.
That was rad.
Right? I'll be cheering for both teams. They're like, who are you rooting for? I'm like, for a good game.
Yeah.
That's where I always
good sportsman.
That's kind of where I always get a little bit weird when it's like two teams that have nothing to do with like your state or anything like that, and like they're playing, but you got people who are like super about like Pittsburgh, fuck yeah, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you from Pittsburgh? Do you know people in Pittsburgh?
My favorite.
What is it about
like
Pittsburgh? But I guess like at the same time, I do see it. Once you like sports, you start paying attention to the players and their stats or something.
We won last night. We are going to the Super Bowl. We did it, guys. Yay us! Look at our team winning.
Me.
Yay
us.
You're on your fucking couch, bro.
What a good marketing
I did
tool.
something. All of this thought I've been putting towards this thing leads up to this moment.
Right. So great. It reminds me of the Always Sunny episode where Charlie's like dying and drinking piss because he needs his green and he needs his yellow.
Oh, yeah, right. He gotta do his color rituals.
I got him a green.
Right. Charlie, every single thing our fans do in and around the field or whatever.
That show. Do you want to talk about just ridiculous fast? It's almost, I feel like it's almost like South Park is now. That show got to the point they were like, what can't we do?
Mhm.
I bet you we can grease up a ham and soak it in rum and get lost on a desert island and float around. With
As long as you got Danny DeVito
around.
screaming around all gargly about it. Like, oh man.
It never ceased to amaze me. And it was one of those like, okay, we'll go there. All right.
We're doing it. Yeah.
Right. South Park is too specific for me. They're way too based in like reality,
Right,
and
way too
actual
spoofy
pop
on reality,
culture,
right.
and I don't keep up. I don't watch TV. I don't watch news. I don't like so.
Yeah.
I don't get the majority of the references. So I'm like, hi.
Right.
The fire.
It always takes me a couple months after it releases because then like society has filled me in about
Let's
what
watch the ones
problem
about
is.
the 90s. Like I'm in, you know, I got that.
I remember those days.
2000s
Yeah.
episodes. I might get those references. Maybe.
Yeah, the more ones that are based in a lot of the ones lately and stuff in like the past couple of years I don't think have been. I think they have been interesting to watch because of what's been going on, but at the same time, I feel like there's something I'm just not liking as much because they're so based in reality like that. Like some of the older ones were just so like goofy and off the wall. It's like this doesn't have anything to do with like
pretty much
what's going on, but somehow it still relates to everything,
Right,
as
it's like a
opposed to being
parallel.
like in your face where they're
I
like
feel
telling
like-
you that this is relating to this.
they get the news and TMZ 3 days earlier than anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they're just like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this. Let's mash this shit up.
You know what's really funny about them though is that like they're so locked into their contracts. Well, I don't.
That's why they do it.
And but
They-
like
they
they've been
specifically
trying to
said-
they've been trying to cancel the right.
Mhm.
They've been trying to cancel themselves. There's 2 full seasons where at the ending of their credits it said #cancel South Park. They're just too locked into their contracts. They have to keep doing it, but they also like it's like, do they not want to? What are they just playing around when they say that? But like,
I am a firm believer in let things die. Okay. It's great because it stopped. When you RoboCop, what 14 or Fast and the Furious? Are
That's
we on
what I
what?
was gonna
Like,
say.
literally, what are we
Like,
on?
like nine? I think 9.
Fast
Yeah.
and Furious in space is what I'm.
And then there's
They go to
half-
space in the
in
last one.
space
Oh,
10.
They go to
off.
space in the last
Fuck
one. We
off.
know.
No way.
Yeah.
I gotta watch
I
it
think I
now.
remember you saying that now.
Do they
right?
just turn on the boosters and hit the ramp?
Pretty much.
That one blonde dude, that one
yeah.
blonde dude's just a ghost like flying through space.
I'm coming to you,
Right. Right.
Yeah, but it's they
Vin
go to
Diesel
space.
just like-
It's Vin Diesel and Tyrese, is that his name? The Pakistani empty cuz guy.
Sure.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I think his name is Tyrese. But yeah, they end up in space and it's interesting.
So my point.
Yeah, no,
my point's the
that's so
same.
funny and so weird.
Yeah, let it die.
Right,
Space,
exactly.
Let it die.
There's very few things that require a trilogy. There's very few things that need to be how many Star Wars are over there now? Like, I know I'm gonna catch some flack from all the Star Wars people in the world, but like,
Yeah, you're talking shit about Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding.
bruh, I lost track of what the fuck was going on after 2. Now there was 13 episodes before that I missed. There's a cartoon series that interweaves in somewhere.
I just have a beef with the naming convention. It is very confusing over which ones come first. And these ones were released at this time, but the story is
Right.
actually ahead of time. These ones are the newest, but it's the oldest story.
Right,
too.
but it happens in the middle of these 3. Like,
So what I want, do you know, really what I want is just like a 2-hour synopsis of all of it. Just,
All right.
just like, not
get your Red Bull ready, bro.
Yeah, you open the can.
Are you guys ready? Because this is what this podcast has become.
oh,
So,
fuck.
Episode 1, Phantom Menace.
Oh my
Dad,
No,
please
I'm just-
don't do this to me. I will cry. I will cry in your face, ugly tears, if you put me through Star Wars dialogue.
Derb is in their hotel room sweating.
He's literally mad at me right now. I
Right.
can feel his anger. He's probably
They're
can't-
listening to it in the car right
he
now.
can't even hear me, and he knows he's twitching. He's like, why? Why am I mad right now?
He
There's a
feels it in the
disturbance
force.
in the
Yeah.
force.
Right. Before we were even talking about it, he
Then
twitched his
he
head a
talking
little
shit
bit.
somewhere.
Right. Him and Fawn look at each other like, what's
What's happening?
Did somebody just diss Darth Vader?
Right. I think there's a disturbance in the force.
No, and it's why?
No, it's okay, Ben. I know what you're saying though.
There just gets to a point to me where it's like it's about greed and not about art and
Not about the story.
Story. It's not about content. It's not about
Those damn contracts.
But
Can you imagine being in that position?
To be fair,
no.
Your job's to be creative, but you're forced to do it.
No.
Like
I couldn't
with
understand.
little control.
yeah.
I am assuming
fair, though,
tattooing even gets
To be
that
fair, what I like though is that I don't know, some like things like Star Wars and some other things, like they become so big that they could never die. I feel like the universes will continue to expand forever.
right. At least Star Wars is a
Which is weird
continuation
because
of
I
the
feel it
story.
makes me so worried for some things that like things will just keep going until they just get so shitty, like
Right.
Star Wars and like so many different things where I just start losing interest.
I mean,
Well,
are they
something
coming out
just
with
happened.
another Matrix?
Somebody chimed and then
Are
they were
they?
there and then they
The
yeah. Why do we need a fourth?
newest one
Matrix?
was
well,
good,
the
but,
fourth one we watched, good, but I think they're coming out with a fifth. So
Right.
why wouldn't they do another trilogy and do
Why?
a six too?
Like, why?
Like,
Why?
yeah.
Why?
and it's pretty much the same story.
Can you just maybe make another fucking story?
See,
Why
what I
does it
like,
have
what
to
I
be
like though
Matrix
is
5?
is things that happened in the same world, different stories that happened in a universe that could be like the same universe, but also like it could have nothing to do with those Star Wars, but because it's a whole universe of things, you could have any scenario that ever plays out in reality can happen in the same universe. So like
Hence,
you got another planet
Star
somewhere
Trek.
of a whole new bunch of things that are going on with new characters.
I've never really gotten into Star Trek.
do you know why Seinfeld
I've always
was
wanted
so
to, but I never did.
successful?
No, but we love it.
Right, because it's a show about nothing.
Yeah, fair.
It's literally, and that's the definition of the show. Right? It's a show about nothing. Because what they do is they take the mundane every day and they spice it up a little bit. They put the most interaction they could possibly put, most in inflection and everything that they can, and make everything as extreme as possible.
Do not let Netflix hear this right now.
I love it.
Because
I'm not
think-
mad at it.
I think you just
You're-
created a Star Wars Seinfeld.
Well, no, you're interhooked in that life. You're brought into that life. You feel connected to their day to day. You're in there getting soup with them. You're out at the dentist. You've been to the dentist. It's the same dentist that was on 7 fucking years ago. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, so you get so wrapped up in being involved in the process of being that story. Like same with Frasier. Frasier was like that. They were all conducive.
Oh.
But some things it's really nice when it does just end, kind of like Seinfeld. Like, I don't know. I'm
There was a
happy.
time.
I'm totally cool with it never coming back, but I loved it.
We
Yeah,
just finished The Sopranos, and I was very not happy with how that just ended. But it was just like you said, it was just like a normal day. We're done now.
Right. They kept the story. They kept the story like open it. I don't know. I love that.
Their
I do
lives
love when
went
it
on,
just ends
Yeah.
but the
sometimes.
story ends.
Yep.
And that's fucking heaven forbid you have an imagination. Like,
I don't want to think.
What
I
I,
don't
what I
wanna
do like
think.
now with things like Star Wars and like the Marvel stuff is that like you got different directors who are like amazing directors and like producers who are like genuine artists that are like take
Right.
an interest in something and they take an interest in an art form, like say like an old comic book that was really cool or you
How
know
many
some stuff in
Batmans do we
comic
need?
books.
That's
That's
what
see
I'm
that's
saying.
what's getting wild
That's what I'm
though is that
saying.
like we don't need the remakes a million times.
I've seen the Joker played out 14 different versions.
I didn't give one. I love the older Batmans all the way up to like the Dark Knight or whatever, or the one with like the Heath Ledger Joker. And then the Joker movie was good, but like the new Batman after Batman after Batman, like they somehow fucking came together with Spider-Man because that shit pissed me off because I love Tobey Maguire for Spider-Man.
So even
Second one never watched because I was like, I can't do. I don't know that dude. I can't do it.
Right.
Third one didn't care at all until I got pretty far in the Marvel movies, and I was like, give him a chance. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, it's taking on a whole new thing.
I
And then
could
they brought
never-
them all together.
I could never get into the Marvel stuff either because it was so special effects, jam-packed action, blow them up the entire time. There's no substance to the story. It's a 15-minute story over 2 hours. And it's like,
So what kind of movies do you like? Give me a top
What's that
3.
like?
oh, this wasn't about me. I'm just saying.
Well,
like,
no, now I'm curious,
much
'cause
stuff is shallow. It's
I
all
vibe
over
with
the
what you're
place.
saying.
I don't really connect with a lot of movies and TV and stuff like that. Like if I sit down
You're so
to watch
outdoorsy. That
some-
makes sense.
Yeah, kinda. When I sit down to watch something, it's generally like a documentary or the movies that I like are more period piece or believable. If it's got a super crazy twist or a plot that's never obtainable, or you know what I mean, like you there, buddy. It loses storytelling value to me. I don't know, like, and I'm so fucking ADD. If you don't catch me in the first half hour, I'm done.
It's over.
Turn it off. I don't care how entertaining it is. So,
Very fair.
yeah.
Okay, well, I know you like to cook. Do you like cooking shows? Have you ever
I do like cooking shows, but
Just found out.
I don't
sorry.
like the competitions. I don't like, but if you just want to like walk through a recipe with me, I'm there.
Right.
Like today, what I'm making, I'm in. Oh
Yep.
shit! Show me how you missed that holiday. Like, because it's pseudo educational.
Yeah. I think it's hella educational. That's what we grew up watching, was the cooking channel.
Right.
I remember like I'd like have friends over and like change all the TVs in the house to not the cooking channel, so that when you turn it
I
on,
promise, guys.
this isn't all I watch, what it is. But now I'm like, he'll ask like, how do you know how to do that? You know, I'm like, oh, Rachel Ray taught me. Like,
Shakes all the time.
Exactly.
What the fuck are you talking about? I also didn't grow up on cable. Like we didn't have TV. Wasn't the source of our entertainment when we were kids. My parents were super church heavy, and it made it to where everything was the devil. So why are we gonna pay to have more devil in our house? So it was
Emeril Lagasse, whew,
go outside.
he could be the devil.
Oh, he could. He bammed it too many times.
Yep.
He started using his hips. It was all great.
To say almost like an Elvis vibe.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember my parents getting pissed off because we watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the cartoon, like the Saturday morning cartoon version one. And I'm like, break this down for me. Why is this bad? And their justification was not that they were horribly transformed nuclear beasts that roam the streets fighting people, but that they meditated. You know what I mean? Like meditation. They're not praying to God. They have to be praying to the devil. It's therefore they're Satan worshipers.
Right.
So
Don't talk to them. Don't worry about them.
It made it to where it was like, so wait, I don't want to watch
Right, this ain't worth it.
fucking Veggie Tales. So I'll get a job. I had a full-time job all through high school. There was never like they go home, do the homework and watch TV. Like it just wasn't not how we were entertained. We did drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, we all had jobs.
What else are you gonna spend money on?
Well, you had to make money. So I mean, like, she wasn't free. No, yeah. So I've never had that, like, that's my show. I didn't grow up watching Friends. Like, I've seen that shit at nauseam as an adult. But like, I don't know. I've never had that connection with TV and movies that most people do. I remember my soon-to-be ex-wife and I went to see the last film, like when we were dating, and it was like $25 ticket for the super
Hella
IMAX
expensive.
with like fucking glasses, and yeah, I got dizzy in the first 14 minutes trying to chase the people across the screen, took the fucking glasses off and went to sleep. I was out. I was like, nope, I didn't go to the movies for like 5 years after that.
Oh man.
You want to go to a play? Like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I just went and saw Cats.
Oh,
Like,
I love
shit.
plays
Like,
so much. So much fun.
but movies, there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
Like, there's a disconnect with screens with me, I guess.
Alton Brown is coming to Detroit to do like a food demo talk thing. Do you know who he is?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I figured. But I remember that was like my show growing up, was
Right.
watching like Alton Brown food science.
Uh-huh.
And I learned so much about proteins.
Is
and-
who taught me how to poach an egg. And I'm talking years ago.
Yeah.
He's who taught me how to poach an egg.
Which what?
Poach an egg?
Oh, poach.
I feel like he's who taught me how to temper things and not put cold dairy into hot stuff, you know? And it was
Caramel. I believe he was responsible for caramel.
we
in my
just
life.
talked about so much caramel too, and so much of my knowledge was from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's coming to Detroit too. I think like one of the big theaters, I think the Fox Theater
That'd be
this
fun.
month. So I'm thinking about doing that just because I'm like,
Bill Nye the Science Guy taught me how to tie a bow tie.
you know,
Like,
Right. Yeah, I grew up on a lot of TV and a lot of video games, a lot of story stuff, but also I was obsessed with documentaries and things. I always loved my dose of info. I always needed information. If I was
If
reading
you're
a
gonna
book, it
catch
was
me,
always
that's where you're at.
informational. It was if I was watching documentaries, but like I don't know. I guess my love of like Marvel and Star Wars and stuff. It's like, I don't know. Part of me doesn't even like the Marvel movies that much. I love the story because like, I guess I have an opposite opinion where I think there's a lot of depth in all the stories, but in the story of it all and comic books and everything, like an insane amount of it. But
if
the
you grew
movies,
up in
the
that
movies
story.
are
And
like,
you know the comics in depth. Yeah.
If you didn't grow up reading the graphic novels and you haven't paid attention to stepping into the snippet of the movie is like catching a 4-year-old's dream.
right. And no, and I totally get that. And like,
Right.
I appreciate and understand the difference in like, taste like that. I totally do.
Right.
I think I just enjoy like the opportunity to be able to like delve into something a little bit more. Like me, I was never really into the comics when I was really young, but like watching some of the movies, being interested in them, and then being like, Iron Man 2, 3, I was like, whatever. Like I like the concept of the first one that came out, and then they just got silly. Yeah,
Right.
they got a lot of stuff going on. I'll tell you in a second.
Um,
But yeah, I don't know. I just like how it all evolves into like one bigger story. And then it made me want to get into the comics more. And then I started being like, ooh, this character's cool. And then like really getting into it and realized like, holy shit, there's all these comics that go to all these different things. And then it got me excited about that. So then it got me excited about like, ooh, this is where the movies are going to go. And maybe they're going to go in this direction. And how are they going to depict this thing that I was really interested in?
Ignorance ruins the depth.
Yeah.
It's just like listening to somebody play jazz fusion. It's a highly technical, super weird time signature, amazing musicianship. But if you don't understand the talent it takes to play that, you are like, huh?
I feel the same way about bluegrass.
Exactly.
Nobody
Some people
yeah.
feel that way about EDM.
Yep.
Right. It's like if you got to
Think it's simple music, and it's like if you've seen anyone play bluegrass,
right?
that shit
like,
is
have you watched their
insane.
fingers?
Same idea with that style. When you have developed the back knowledge of the stories, and I'm sure it's the same way I have the opinion of Star Wars. I haven't taken the time required to learn the mass amount of knowledge required to be that involved in the story.
Right.
And that's my fault. So I get it for the people that are into it, but for me, I've never taken the time to learn. There's only so much space up here. I have a hard time remembering my phone number, let alone 38 Marvel characters.
Right.
One thing that I think is really dumb though is the fact is like, let's say I was trying to talk you into liking it, where it was like, why don't you like it? Like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, why do you hate it?
I love that everyone has different tastes, and so like whenever I ask questions or something like that, it's just because I want to understand more about
where the bell.
Right. What's the differences in taste? Like, what makes this different to me? Like, what is it that doesn't catch your interest that catches my interest? So I know, like, I don't know, it shows different human characteristics. Not one's bad or one's good by any means. It's just cool to see the difference.
It's not even that. If somebody's like, oh, so you don't watch TV, so what do you spend your time doing? And oh wait, you're into something that sounds super interesting, and now I've found a new avenue to entertain myself through a new hobby of whatever. So you still point and you write dirty phrases on napkins. Sweet. You know what I mean? Like, so you get to learn a little bit more about, I don't know, avenues, right? Than something that everybody else can tune into and tune out of.
And that's where I'm at right now, especially moving to a new city. Like, well, I'm typically working, but like when things aren't, I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do? I got 2 hours of free time. How do I pick up a new hobby in 2 hours? You know what I mean? So definitely been always just taking interest and seeing what people are up to, and exactly that, listening to like, what do you do with your free time? Like, oh, maybe I would like that too. I should give it a shot, you know?
Recently restructured a lot of my life.
Yeah.
So same. There's now new weird little like, okay.
Yeah, usually I'm doing this, and I'm
What
like,
do I do with this
Right.
pocket of time?
Yeah.
New little spaces of
I
time.
used to have obligations and now I don't.
yep.
So it's weird to then try to find that thing that fills time. It's like I get so disinterested so fast, and like
Me too. And I'm very much of like, oh, I like to try it. But then when it takes that step to like, oh, you've tried it, you've explored, do you want to stick with it? And I'm like, ooh, that's commitment.
I do this real cool thing where I go balls deep, and I'm like, I will buy every accoutrement. I'll buy every piece of equipment required. I'm going to be all about it. I'm going to get mediocre at it.
Yep.
Okay. Just good enough at whatever. and I'll give you 15 examples when we're done of whatever that is. I'll get just good enough to understand the concept of it and be bored with it. Oh, that's all that's left. The next 10 years of perfecting this is all that's left. Oh, I see where this is going to end. I'm cool from that. Hence why I know 6 songs on guitar and have owned one since I was 5.
Hey, I still think it's still a great way to go about things though, because you still plant the seed, and then for those next 10 years, you've at least like given yourself like the template to at least like reach back at maybe that, unless you don't like it at all.
Right.
But it's
Or at
like,
least keep you
because
10
I feel
years
like
busy with a new hobby every year, which is
Right.
the path I think I'm on.
You know
and
how
then
many
you
times
have
I've told
enough
myself
things
I'm
to
going
jump back to where it's
jujitsu.
like, oh yeah, I can do this one thing. There's this thing I was interested in. Maybe I jumped to something else for a year or two, but you know, then you go back to it. When
Then you go back and you're like, oh yeah, I fucking sucked at this. That's why. I just
But you can't have that attitude either,
I
though,
know, I
because
know.
I've always been so surprised in life when I jump back at things that I used to do, and it'll be like years or weeks or however long since I've done something. And somehow, like maybe I'm a little bit like rusty at first, but a lot of times, or like usually it's a little rusty at first, and then it clicks, and like you're able to see things a little bit different, and then all of a sudden you feel
Yeah.
better than you even were before.
Yeah.
Like you're like, how am I better at this after a while? It's like, I don't know, the time your brain had time to let things sink in and really
Right.
dive in. But
Well-
also if you're like, no, I'm gonna be bad at it, and you never try it because you assume that you're gonna be bad at it, then I mean,
I
never
think
gonna
a
get the
lot of things I
motivation.
started when I was younger were meant for old Ben, not young Ben. 19-year-old Ben didn't have the time, energy, and focus to master that. So now I'm like, do I take pinstriping back up?
Mhm.
I'm a little bit calmer, have a little bit more time in my day, have a little bit more patience and willingness to take the time to get the results that I want. Should I try that? And then it's like, why is he gonna do that? Now I gotta make time for something. So it's just a weird, like,
right?
I don't
Habit's
know.
a funny thing too, and like breaking habit of
Oh
how
my
we spend
God,
time
yeah.
and how we do things when we're like normally we go about a day a certain way, but we want to introduce this new thing, but it's so hard to you know, even
First thing is being aware, though.
Yeah.
You know,
I do this real cool
making
thing.
little bits of time and like extending
Yeah.
those more and more and more as it becomes more accepted in your own habits, you know. Or
I do this real cool thing when
it's more I talk more at reach.
when my life's up in the
Reach
air.
more
I schedule every minute of my time
let
when I'm like, oh wait, I can't control what's going on in my life right now.
me try.
I can control my schedule. So Monday night, this is what I do. Tuesday night, this is what I do. Wednesday night, this is what I do. And I will literally pack my day with whatever. And then, 6-8 months later, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? I do something every night of the week. I got a real job in the process of this. I work 48 hours a week. What is how did this, when did I become an adult during all of this? The house is clean. When did that become a fucking habit? All right. Like, it's weird now. And now I'm just to the point where I'm like, why am I so busy?
I think that's really what, I'm a huge follower of, I don't know, do you know who Joe Dispenza is?
Huh.
He is my guru,
Gotcha.
but he's really just some guy. But he has a ton of
Way to
books.
credit that one.
But he really blew up with the What the Bleep movie, and he's a neuroscientist, and the book that changed my way of thinking was called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to
Oh.
Lose Your Mind and Start a New One.
All right.
And
You're
it's-
gonna have to text me that.
Yeah, I seriously this year for Christmas I bought 10 copies.
She's under.
Everyone who
Understanding.
everyone I work with got one, my parents got one.
Nice.
It's a really powerful book about just even the littlest things of, okay, well, your normal habit is when you get out of work, you sit in the same chair for 15 minutes and kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Sit on the other side of the couch. You know
Right.
what I mean? Change up where you sit. Your brain, even little tiny things like that. Eat with a spoon instead of a fork.
Right.
Just breaking those little habits opens up more neuroplasticity, and you're able to change other things too.
Right, you're literally working different neurons because they're used to going one way, and then you send them the other way. It's like, okay, start
Brain's
going
like,
that way just a
That's
little
why-
bit more. Oh, he's used to going like that.
That's why you rearrange furniture when things aren't going right. That's
Yep.
why you shift the house around and spontaneously paint your bathroom bright submarine fucking
Right?
yellow.
Change up the habits, change up the feeling.
And that's why
Let's change up how we do this.
You know,
Right.
things like that.
these books are so great because it's all intuitive stuff. It's never like you have to stop everything you're doing and move to the country and sell your belongings. You know, it's like he'll even talk about people like, well, do you think you should go vegan then to be your best self? And he's like, I think you should not stress about what you're going to eat because stress is causing you the problem. It's not the food you put in you necessarily,
Right.
you know, and just really talking about all those easy little things that we all do in our day that keep us in these habits
Right.
that are so hard to break, and
Well,
it comes to personality.
You even think you're developing good habits by occupying your time or
Let me give into my habit.
or even just like she's saying, more of a routine base. You get so ingrained in that if you want to or not. Like
The littlest things, the way you drive home from work. He even talks about like change that up, take a different street.
I work
You know?
4 minits from my house.
Oh, okay.
Right.
The different streets fucking
Yeah.
all different. Like
Funny thing is like there's part of me that's a creature of
But I get
habit, and I like the comfort of having certain routines or like doing, you know, I don't know, having the comfort in having some habits, but at the same time, it's good to know how to break them when you don't want them anymore.
Well,
And that's the hardest
it's
part.
it's different when you're stuck.
Yeah.
When you're
Right, when you're
stuck
like, why
in
can't
that
I do-
monotonous day to day, can't get off that. Why am I always upset? Why am I always pissed off when I get off work? Why do I always have this negative disposition? Why don't I want to be around my friends? Why don't? It's because you set yourself up to have this attitude and to be tired and to like so.
Yep. And it's crazy. It's not just one thing
No,
that
yeah,
gets you
I
there.
totally
It's
agree.
300 little steps you take on your day that you do because it's normal. Even the songs or talk show you listen to on the way.
Right.
People don't realize you're in a relationship with yourself.
Very much.
If you took, sorry, if you took the time to take care of yourself, like you take care of someone you care about, it's a whole different mental aspect. You spend a lot of time investing in other people because you think there's reciprocity and they're going to invest in you, but that's not who's in charge of you. You first. And I know that sounds super fucking selfish, but you can't help if you're down.
Yeah.
My car's broke down. I can't come pick you up if you need a ride. It's the same idea. And if you don't
Yeah, absolutely.
date yourself, if you don't do the things to make sure that you're taken care of, you can't take care of somebody else.
Yep. It's really, they're all such cliche
Powerful.
sayings, but
Thank you,
it
Ben.
rings so true. The you can't fill from an empty cup.
Right.
You know, I don't like to say that if you don't love you, no one will. And it's like not necessarily about like liking yourself all the time because we all struggle with that.
You
But
don't
like
even
showing
you don't
yourself
even realize
love,
that.
like
You don't realize you develop the habits
Yeah.
of not promoting yourself.
Yeah.
Right. What are the
Just
things?
the
What are the
self-talk.
things that you do for other people that you're not doing for yourself? Maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Even
all
even
kinds
just
of
like the
stuff.
basic love things, you know. There's so many little things that we can be doing for ourselves. Each just like what you're saying. They don't have to be big things. They can be little tiny things, little check marks, little rewards throughout the day. Little
me,
things just
it's-
for yourself, even if it's just like a walk or something,
Yeah.
you know.
For me, I was gonna say it's silly stuff of like I grew up where like the house was never clean unless someone was coming over.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Now that I have a house, it's like, no, I like to clean for me because I'm coming over.
Okay.
I just want my things to be clean.
This is
Like, you know, and changing that mindset, it changes it from a chore to like something you enjoy doing. I love cleaning. Like I always enjoy my like little rounds I do to do my things that make me like,
Yep.
you know, and little self-love acts like that doesn't mean
Create your bubble. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's
Right,
it's
learn to
not-
love brushing your teeth. Learn to love eating. I don't love brushing my teeth out. But
you don't-
I think
you don't
little
love
things like
bad
that might-
breath though.
Exactly.
I love having a
cause and
clean
effect
mouth.
is-
Yeah.
And I love feeling clean, and I love feeling like I did something for myself, because when I don't brush my teeth, that's like one of those first things where you're like, well, I haven't done this.
I'm
No.
not doing that.
You're right. I'm not doing nothing.
Sorry, bro.
The world gets a quarter of me today. I didn't brush my teeth. I'm like,
It's just it's one of those things that a lot of it took me years still now realizing, even in thinking you're taking care of yourself, even being in that positive mindset, affirmation, bringing all the, if you're doing it in behalf of someone else, you're not taking care of you. And it's tough to think of yourself as a relationship.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother,
especially when you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
It gets really easy to make it about the other person, even if it
could have been
the intentions are great, and because you're doing this because you love them. Then like, what happens when that external factor? What if you're gone for a week? If the only reason I cook dinner is for you, then what happens if you're not here? Yeah,
right.
Silly things like that, and it's, I don't know, people.
I'll work the dead end job so you can chase your career, and now 10 years later, you're like, wait, now I gotta get a job. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna do dumb shit for 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't realize that you're detrimenting yourself in behalf of someone else.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it doesn't mean there aren't sacrifices that people are, meeting people halfway.
oh, absolutely not.
But it also
saying
means
no
you never stop to work on yourself.
Right.
You know?
And it doesn't mean you don't have to do work for, still do the work for other people and stuff, and still give love and all that. But I think, if you need to see it on a percentage scale, do 50-50, give yourself as much love as you're giving other people. Or if you feel like one's out of balance, if you feel like you're out of balance, give a little bit more percentage to one side or the other, but make sure always to keep in check, like what side's getting more, or, what side feels imbalanced.
Well,
if they both feel imbalanced, what's going on? How,
I
feel like it's like the empty cup.
Also be selfish in your deeds for other people. So, okay. So it is gratifying to me to be part of Hell City. I get enjoyment out of being in that environment. It's a job, it's work, it's hard, it's a day's work. You know what I mean? Like I have to invest to be involved in that environment. It's the same as a relationship. You have to invest to continue to be in that environment where it goes away, or you end up hating each other or whatever. If you don't take that time to do the same for yourself when it comes down to being just you, should I take a pinstriping? Or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you should.
It just leaves this like,
take up any idea that floats through your mind.
Now what? Like if you'd have been focused on your goals and the whole time, it'd just been another day.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I 100% agree. I couldn't be more of an advocate of that. I don't know. It's definitely easier to preach it.
Fuck yeah.
That's for sure.
My life's a wreck.
If there's anything I align with, it's definitely that, but it can be hard, but I feel like there's just always a balance, and I feel like it always goes up and down. Sometimes we're giving ourselves a little bit more love than we should. Sometimes we're never giving ourselves the love we should, sometimes overextending, sometimes underextending.
Right. When it's hard to realize where you are, and it takes almost foresight. You can't really, I said that backwards. It takes realizing what happened to adjust in the future. So it's almost like, oops, fuck that up. Okay, now let's change. Okay, that doesn't work. Hold on, what good habit can we replace that with, or whatever?
Right. I feel that.
I don't know. Been through a lot of therapy.
Haven't we all? Yeah.
So let's talk about rainbows and butterflies and sunshine.
I'm down with that, but I definitely like the mental health talk. I think that's always good.
Absolutely. And a lot of people,
relevant for a lot of people, I'm sure.
I know a lot of people, especially being confined in home and not being able to socialize and not being able to get that value out of interaction and not being able to get that person-to-person energy love. I'm sure anyone listening to this is probably kind of a weirdo. We're all like tattooed, like in the community. We're either artists. We're either not. You just offended anyone that was listening. Okay. But no, we're all like, we all live wild lives, and we're all different kinds of people. And I feel like artists and like we're all artists here, like artists with our body. We collect tattoos. We live this life where we're a little bit more it's a little bit more in the subculture of things. And I feel like, separate different mindsets
come into that. I'm not saying weird as in dumb or anything, just weird as in like, we're different than other people, but also a lot of people are prone to depression. A lot of us are prone to not knowing what exactly to do with life when we're not following the mainstream way of the way everything's always been taught to do things, just like
Not
growing
everyone
up
fits
super
in the
Christian and
cog,
things like that, where it's like, shit, now I'm living, I imagine where it's like, I'm living, maybe not you, maybe it is like that situation where it's like living a life to where, what I was taught growing up, now that's irrelevant to how I'm living my life at this point, because that was so like,
yeah, think about the millions of people that are 120K in debt because they thought going to school was going to get them the job that pays all their bills, and now that they are out, they can't find a job and have a fucking $500 a month payment to a company that sold their debt 4 times.
Right, I'm 100,000 in debt in debt to a college. Why invest in these other hobbies when I'm putting everything into this thing? I don't have time. And I don't have time for anything. How can I invest in my art? How can I invest in this interest? How can I invest in this thing I want to do if I'm paying all this money to all this stuff because I got to hold down 2 jobs while studying every night?
Yep.
I can't imagine, honestly. Like it's crazy, and we can definitely imagine that life.
Yeah.
Student
loans. I don't think about
Definitely live the
those.
college life.
My first
Don't think
wife
about those.
had 2 degrees, including a master, and it was just like, so you did all this shit to get a job that required like a fucking GED?
Yeah.
No, she had a really good job, don't get me wrong, but like,
So I'm grateful for the cannabis industry
come on.
it really is a show. Like a lot of companies do hire based on your resume and stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't have a degree. I didn't graduate from college. I went for 3 years and didn't graduate. So my resume says studied at MSU.
I lived on campus for a while.
I was there.
I dated a chick that went to classes.
And it's crazy because you know how many people have ever asked me when I graduated? None.
Right.
Like none at all.
Never.
And it just blows my mind. I had someone tell me that I should go back to school to finish it because I'd get better jobs in the cannabis industry. I'm like, I'm doing pretty fucking good right now. Good company. My one boss was like, hell no, she doesn't. What is she we're gonna get her a better job? Like she's already, we'll take care of her. She don't need a degree. Like what?
That's just like you tell people you were a chef. Like, oh, you were a chef. Like, yeah. They're like, oh, so you can, like duck coffee and fucking well, you want to have a party for 50 people and serve them fried chicken and mashed potatoes? I fucking got you.
Got you.
Like, so there's this connotation that comes with any title.
Yeah.
That there's an assumption of talent.
Yep.
For lack of a better term. It was fun because people were like, oh, you're a chef. I'm like, yeah, I worked at a fucking kid's water park. Like, I can make you 300 pizzas.
That's what I used to get. So I used to manage a riverboat.
Yeah.
And I started as a cook on there. There's one cook. There's me. You know what I mean? And we do from 100 to 450 people. And it's, mashed potatoes, turkey, all that shit. So then people come out and they're like, oh, compliments to the chef. Like, I'm like, I literally poured this from a box. And like, I added a few extra steps. Like, I spiced up. I
used salt.
Yeah, literally. And that was the funniest thing. The chef before me.
Right. I came up in banquet halls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like kind of the same.
You add butter to stuff and people are all of a sudden floored. They're like, where'd you learn that? Like, my fucking.
You added ranch dressing. We'd put on banquets and then people would be like, oh, we want to meet people who met the food, and they were all 15, 16 coming out of the kitchen like that. I was okay. Just fucking dancing. We didn't taste any of it. You don't really want to see the cooks. Let's just be honest.
No. You don't want to see the kitchen. You don't want to see anything about what happens before.
Be happy you're full.
That's where I always ruin our experience.
Situation.
We'll go out to eat and I'll like say something like, I don't know, I don't trust this. I just saw this happen. And I know that means like, just saw a cook coming out swearing, so things are not good. Let's not order the crazy
the best
thing.
intuition though for those things.
Well, see, that's the thing.
She's like, she sees it all. Like me,
My
I'm
level of
100% oblivious. She's like, no, I seen, and I've been looking at a couple people's other plates, and
my level of expectation when I go out is completely different.
Oh yeah,
because I worked in the service industry. So it's like, all right, I'm getting chicken fingers.
Yep. That's why I know to like adjust what we do according on what the scenario is. If it's busy as fuck, we're not ordering the thing that sets on fire. I'm not ordering a Saganaki when my server's running around. Like
there's
next
also
time.
this like price point adjustment there is in my brain, right? If my plate total is less than, we'll say $40, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If we cross that threshold and I'm expected quality, I expect it done correctly. Now there's a right and wrong way, and just it's not hard to do correctly.
Yep.
I promise you. Just do it. So I don't know. Because I know how simple it can be. It infuriates me when it's like, what do you mean?
My pet
What do you
peeve is when a server blames the kitchen staff
Mhm.
for something like, I literally watched you not put my order in. Like I watched you talk to me and then go get a drink and then talk to your friend for 20 minutes.
You did not go straight to the bus.
Yeah, so I was like, so please, like, and then I'm like in my head, I'm like, you could have came back here and been like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I totally forgot. And I would be like, you're fine, girl. Looks like you had a busy night.
Yeah.
But to come back and be like, I don't know what's going on. Like the kitchen lost the ticket. And I'm like, that is not true. The ticket never printed. Like, it's like I'm siding with the cooks on this one.
I can hear the goddamn expo. Don't fuck with me. Yeah. So I don't know. Just like if I'm going to Denny's and I know it's gonna be Denny's, it's Denny's.
Yeah,
Am I
take
gonna-
what you get.
Yeah, it's
Right.
cool. It's done.
Right. I'm not gonna sit and bitch at them for doing exactly what I expected.
If it's edible, I'm moving on like that.
Right.
So
Information,
rabbit holes.
Everything but tattoos.
No, I was just gonna jump to some information I haven't shared with you guys. Is that Fawn and Fawn's not gonna be joining us.
Okay.
Yep. So
Are they okay?
Yeah.
they are all okay, but something is going. They said the place is interesting. Whatever thing this is interesting, and they do not want to shoot from there. So hey, whatever that means.
All right.
It's a little
Well, it's
bit-
Thursday, so it's not set up, right?
right. So
Alright.
it's a little bit of a shit show right now.
Okay.
They
Fair bet.
she
They
said
got time to pull
she
together.
said she wouldn't dare right now.
That's fair because
It's respectful.
if people are in pre-production and it's not pulled together yet, that's kind of unfair for us to
Right. It makes the convention look
judge
bad.
their process.
Yeah.
And it's yeah.
So
I get it.
don't listen to us about this convention right now.
We're just kidding.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
We love that
I haven't been
convention.
there. I don't know anything
Even
about
though we
any of
don't even
this.
know the
All I
fucking
know
name
is
of
Fawn
it.
is there. With dirt.
I'd say half of my events I've thrown have been shit shows until the 2 hours before.
Yeah. You ever walk
And then
into
you
a
pull it
kitchen?
on.
Shit. Shit. It's just madness. Madness.
I once had a wedding for 250 people on the boat, and I thought it was starting at 1, so I had staff coming at 11. I was there at like 8, just doing my normal like rounds and shit like that. All of a sudden, the bride and sister pull up. I was like, "Hey guys, you're a little early. Like expecting you at 1." They're like, "No, the party's at 11." I was like, "Wait, what? I don't have staff here till 11. Like the fuck?" But nothing's done. There's no linens anywhere. Chairs are nothing is done. So they're seeing there's buckets of water for leaks around. They're seeing it like at its worst before getting married.
Oh, my
So I'm
No.
like doing my best, like just smoked and was like, it's okay, I promise I can pull this together. We'll adjust, like no problem. Da da da.
Let me start the oven.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Uh,
But we pulled it together and it was fine. And they started by telling me I was terrible at my life and I should be doing anything other than what I do for a living.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then they ended up drunkenly sliding me like $200. Like, you're so great. Thanks so much. So
I was so glad you told us.
I was like, sorry if I was a little mean earlier. I was like, that's all good.
It's cool. Booze fixes everything, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I came up in banquet halls. There were so many events that just everything catastrophe. After chain of events, it's like, well, you guys are eating an hour late now. My
Yep.
bad. Oops.
That's what it is.
Oops.
Round of champagne on us. We would do that type of shit.
You know what we're gonna start with? Drink service. Tonight's meal starts with drink service.
Yep. I know you already had your salads, but
Okay.
we're gonna do a drinks
This
course.
is a palate cleanser.
Cranberry juice and vodka.
Yes.
Welcome to the boat.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
I don't miss it.
no.
Then you do.
I'm glad you
I
guys.
like the rush.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
like
and then
the
you do. And then you're
I'm
like,
not there
well, it
anymore.
was
and that
fun.
pride moment of being like, damn, these 200 people had no idea what a shit show this was 2 hours ago. Yeah.
There was a weekend at the hotel where we fed over 3,000 people in like 4 days.
Whew.
And it was just event after event after event, tear down, set up, lines for lines, like back to back to back to back to back to back. And it was probably my proudest moment as a fucking human being ever. Because like
wild.
Went off without a hitch. Everything was super clean. It was super transitions. It was set up the right way. This team was on. The people that were there were on. It was staffed right. Like I've never, ever done an event or events, series of days that were that much work that went that just like, that's done early. Oh, they're leaving early. Oh, okay.
The most
All right,
exciting.
guys. Yeah, it's just like I quit the next week. I literally quit.
This is my high point. I'm done.
Right before it gets any worse, anything. This is I can live with this.
Sounds like it got worse quick.
We're gonna die here happy.
The owners of the establishment at that time had extremely high expectations, and I literally had profited. I think it was like 13 grand, and went into the next meeting for the executive management thinking I'm about to get high-fived and chaired around the room and like, bro, great job. Because again, I just had this slamming BEO weekend.
Proud as shit.
My banquet hall was booked out all weekend. I did an event in the bar for 2 nights in a row that we had record liquor set, like, and they're like, hey, so there were some stale chips in the gift shop. You're lazy and incompetent.
You're like, are
But
you fucking kidding?
She was screaming and pounding her fists on the table and yelling at me like I was a 5-year-old.
It's a super good approach.
And I looked at the person that was my actual day-to-day boss. I took my key card out of my pocket and he was like, so I put my key card back in my pocket. And I just sat there and took it and walked to my office and wrote my resignation and quit 2 weeks later. My last day, they had that same meeting because 2 weeks later, we had that meeting every Friday. 5 of the managers that remained out of the 6 or 7 quit because they went on a rampage about how they hadn't replaced me for less money with a higher quality candidate yet in the 2 weeks that I had put in my notice, and blatantly just beat them into the ground like they did to me. And they were like, you know what?
That's what you get.
Bye.
Have fun. And it was the most justifying phone call I've ever got in my life. Like the general manager texted me and she was like, hey, so let us know if you find anywhere that's looking for a staff. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, we all left.
For a whole staff.
Bye.
That was funny. I felt super justified.
I love those moments.
Yeah, it was a great day for Ben. Yeah. I didn't have a job.
But
I had to
it's a win.
scramble.
But that is like
Took a $12 an hour job after
Redemption.
that because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
redemption on some level.
Yeah, no, it felt great in the moment. It was probably a super poor life decision, but it felt great in the
Right.
moment. Those little I stuck up for myself and it actually like, meh,
Yep.
all right.
Right.
Hotel closed like a year later from just nose diving because their management team left. So
Goes to show you treat your people well.
yeah.
They stick around.
Treat people well.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, all right. I don't know. Maybe we end this thing a little bit early today.
Well, I mean, how long have we been going?
Been going for an hour and a half here.
I mean, it's your world. I just rent space, buddy. I'll sit here and talk all night about absolutely nothing. I think we've said the word tattoo twice today.
I've loved our conversations. I feel like this has been a great podcast.
I'm never hating our podcasts.
We talked about conventions for a good while.
We had a moment or two of tattoo talk.
We did it. And then we went into the real stuff.
Are
you gonna right? Check yourself before you walk into that convention.
Make sure you're in love with you.
Check yourself at the gate. How does I and I feel?
How does I feel? Yeah, I don't know.
You had a pretty cool piece, last week with your bio throat?
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Yep, did a bio throat last week
yeah.
or the week before. It was one of those weeks, but that was a wild piece. learned. I mean, I've done a couple throats. I mean, as long as I've tattooed for a long time. I've done smaller tattoos on people's throats. Nothing that was like, any particular style. And that was years ago. And so it's nice jumping into some really big pieces on some throats, but what it's doing is showing me people's pain tolerance and what people can really take and how much it really hurts and the difference between that area and the rest of the body. It tattoos great. But it hurts. It hurts a lot.
I'm gonna be real honest. Like, I've always kind of been like, nah. I think it would look sweet, and like I just don't see myself sitting through that.
Yeah. This guy sat like a champ. He did a 2-day session, and whole all the way up to neck, shoulder, like trap area around the back of the neck, all bio, so thick lines and coming in with tons of shading.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think that's one of those, like, I hate to say it, but should have done it sooner. But
Yeah.
I've never been, until recently, it hasn't been as socially acceptable and employable to be as heavily tattooed. So 10 years ago, when I was prime age and energy to sit and take a throat tatty, I wasn't secure enough in my financial disposition to be able to do so. And even now, I'm like,
I feel like it doesn't get
my
any
job's pretty
easier to
rad,
get
but
tattooed.
what happens if I gotta quit there?
Right. Will the other job be as rad?
But that was the decision to tattoo my hands. Do you know what I mean? You made that. If they're not willing to accept me in this, I don't want to be involved in that culture anyway. Then I literally remember having that, like, fuck it, blast it. It changed everything in my mind after that. But even still, as an almost 40-year-old man, it's like, what if I gotta get a real job? You got a real job. Still, that's what goes through your head. Like, so I don't know. I'm still like, what if I've got to get a different job and throat tattoos aren't as cool?
Yeah.
My boss now happens to be a heavy Marty Holcomb collector and have a lot of recognizable Marty
That's
Holcomb
pretty cool.
tattoos.
That's very cool.
But I am blessed. It's not like that everywhere you go to get a job.
I feel like
so.
Back on like the whole like a little bit of spiritual type thing is like I feel not even spiritual where I feel like once you step into that world, like the hand tattoo or like a throat tattoo, like you start to manifest the things that like you're really gonna get in your life. But it's also like there's people that do it in a way where it's like they don't find a job or anything, right? They do it like that. But like when you get
You
good
breed your own
tattoos,
environment.
right? And then you also are gonna like it puts you down a path where like this is the path that I'm following, and now I know that this stuff might be excluded, but fuck them. I don't need that. And so now you can put the energy into like, the other avenues or whatever it might be that you're doing, even more so because it's like, cool, no, we're in the fucking life now.
Well, and being able to come up and see other people be heavily tattooed, it be employable, it be responsible adults still, and not
You stuck.
He is in the nuts.
being able to talk to somebody else that has their hands and throat tattoos. They're like, oh no, I went into this industry in this field. If you enjoy this style of work, here's a way that you can make money and continue the lifestyle that you want to be in. It's just like if you want to be a rock star and play shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you'll figure out a way to do it. You'll you know what I mean? Like you'll breed the environment you want.
Right.
I'm not that secure as a human.
I feel you. I'm not saying it's 100 foolproof or anything like that, but
confidence.
If it's
a confidence
I do
factor,
feel
man.
as
Break
though
it
like
down.
when the decision's right, it's right. When you
Right.
like if the confidence, you wake up and you're like, or you see the design or the artist where you're like, fuck, I could definitely
That's what
have
it
that.
is. Boom, it clicked. That's it. That's what I want. I've never had that with an tattoo.
Yeah.
I've never looked in the mirror and been like, what's every other like blank piece of skin on my body now. I'm like, it's gonna go in that spot.
Right.
I'm mapped out. There's not a square inch of me that I don't know where it's going from here now.
My whole life, I've never thought about my neck. I never really cared. I was like, I'll think about that later one day if I ever want to do it. I got my body to get tattooed, but it's Now it's starting to click a little bit more, where like the idea is starting to set in, where it's like, I want to start thinking about what I might want to do with my neck. And now I'm feeling the like, ooh, the random urge to do it. So now really starting to,
Right.
I got the appointment set to wrap around the front, and then after the
Nice.
front, then probably booty cheeks, but then get to the throat. But
the culture that I
see
came
where my
up
mind's
in-
starting to drift into different directions now,
Right.
just differently than it used to.
Right. Again, you're allowing yourself the freedom, and you advance yourself far enough that you're secure enough that you're not worried about it being a negative repercussion.
Yeah, I think that does play a big part.
And your career is a
that,
tattoo artist.
Yeah.
that plays a big part
It's accepted.
into my decision, and I do understand that. That's for sure.
The culture of tattooing that I came up in when I was younger was you had to earn it. You couldn't just walk in and be like, bro, tattoo my face. They wouldn't do it. If you walked in and had no other tattoos and were like, tattoo my neck, they'd be like, hey, bud, how about a bicep tattoo today? No, I'm not going to put your girlfriend's name on your neck. Now, I know that sounds like hoity-toity and high mighty, but no, you earn a throat tattoo. The rest of you has to match that. You can't just come in and blast both your hands. Not going to let it happen, but you have to earn those. And I know that's a weird thing to think about now, because being a lot more socially acceptable, people didn't understand what they were saying then. What they were saying then is, if you start here, you've made this decision now, there's no going back. They called them career enders, job busters for a reason, because that's literally could happen. And if you've not had any tattoos and you haven't mentally committed yourself to being a collector, and you start with, well,
Yeah.
or throat or face or whatever, you didn't build the lifestyle
that it takes to be able to
operate,
to
like
have the
that.
roots to be able to operate.
Right,
Exactly.
right. Just
Yeah.
like we were saying,
No, it's
now we've
definitely.
developed enough into the culture to where we know where we can get employed. We know where we can do these things. We've met people that are highly successful in certain fields and careers and aspects of life of we didn't know existed then, didn't know that we could invest in, didn't have the intelligence and patience to be involved in then. So it's almost a maturity in the even collection field, in the collection.
Right.
Like, you weren't allowed to just walk in and get that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that mentality on it. I
Even-
really do. I mean, not to like the brutalist,
I'm not saying you couldn't get a tattoo.
yeah,
you're not
no, I
allowed to
see
be in the
exactly.
club.
Right.
Sure,
I mean,
I'm
and
sure
it's
I'm
look
sure
out
there
for your
were more
client.
people that were like hardcore assholes about that stuff back in the day, but I agree with the mentality on that. I really do think, because of those things, exactly what you said, where it's like all those other tattoos and everything you're doing with, it's not about just me, not us, not being like, you didn't earn it. It's like, no, literally, like
You didn't earn the
everything it
aspect
takes
of
to
life
do all
be-
those things, everything it took to save up the money, the jobs it took to invest in yourself like that,
Right.
the literal mental aspect of investing in yourself for a long time, as opposed to just wanting to look good real
We'll
fast.
take it back 30 years, where they wouldn't cross the cuff of your shirt line, where they wouldn't tattoo your neck. And you know what I mean? Like, you had to be I don't know how to say it without putting a negative spin on it. Back in the 40s, 50s, if you had your face tattooed, you were a biker, a gangster, a criminal. That was like non-respectable. I hate to even say it like that, but that's was the disposition of the time. So if you walked into a studio, they wouldn't even do the tattoo.
Right.
So even early 2000s, late 90s, that mindset was still alive in the street shop. You know what I mean? But the social acceptance of where we could be tattooed had changed. So it just slightly shifted. It used to be they wouldn't tattoo, just like the old Yakuza stuff. They'd only do 3/4 of the way down. It was the Japanese culture. Like, so it's the same, was the same kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's crazy how accepted it is now.
Right.
But even
it's
I
a
think
huge difference.
out of respect for the client too, I know you and I know how we've talked about when people do come to you for neck pieces, like one of the first things we talk about is like, what is their other work? You
Right.
know what I mean? It's never like, I would be hard pressed to believe that if someone was like, I really want this crazy throat piece, and then you go to the consultation and they have no other work, that you're gonna be like, you know what, let's do it.
Right.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Like,
Well, not even. I don't think you're being negligent in your
No.
vetting of people in any way, shape, or form. It's not.
No, not taking it that way.
Okay.
Not
No,
taking it
yeah,
that way
I'm saying-
whatsoever.
I'm
Okay.
saying that like I know he would like
Right.
he wouldn't do that. It would be a conversation of like, are you sure you don't want to start with something
Right.
like what happens
Yeah,
if
like that
you do
could-
their arm and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this is what tattooing feels like. I don't I
Right.
can't
And
run
we're gonna,
anymore.
first off, the pain factor, you're gonna start with your neck.
Right.
Like,
Well, and I think it's a hard. I think it's almost a harder conversation now to have
bet.
that and not be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because then it was not like we're saying, it wasn't as socially acceptable, and you could look somebody in the face and be like, "You want to go to grandma's on Christmas with this
Right.
on your face?"
no one
Now
wants to be told
people are
no
like,
either.
"Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
So it's
Especially like
different.
if you have if it's a big decision to say I want a tattoo on my neck, especially if it's a big one, but you don't have any other tattoos on your body. I feel like some people have a little bit more pride, and it's hard to tell that, or like it's hard to hear that like I don't think it's a good idea to tattoo your neck. You know,
Right.
it's like I thought about this a lot. I really want to tattoo my neck, and it's like exactly that. It's like you don't have anything on your body, like you don't have anything on your chest. You don't have anything to work in like at all. Like, do you have any like first off the pain factor? Like, you're not going to be able to handle the
There's
pain.
no way you
like,
can be mentally prepared for
you
what's
just
about to
don't.
happen.
Yeah, you have no clue. You
Hell
have
no.
no mental reference for like what the pain's going to feel like, which is the first thing that's going to make my life extremely difficult.
Yep.
And then all the other things that we talked about come into factor, and it's like I would have to really explain it in depth to not sound disrespectful, because it's one thing to like to tell someone like, oh, I think this is a bad idea with a tattoo, or I don't want to do it, but it's another thing to be like, hey, I don't think you should get a throat tattoo. I don't
Right.
think you should tattoo that part of your body. To hear that from
Right.
another human being, if someone told that to me from an artist, I'd laugh and I'd be like,
I don't
whatever.
like being told.
But
what
at the
time
same
I need to
time,
be
like,
somewhere. Are you
also
fucking
like
kidding
I
me?
earned it at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
Which-
there's a different weight to it when I ask it. But
Yeah,
like, you
right.
know, and if someone was to tell me no, I'd be like, what the fuck do you know, really, or something. Or if it's something I really respect, I know the industry enough to be like, well, if you don't think like, if you think I should do something more, okay, let's do that first. What is it that makes you think that I shouldn't? I respect you. But if it was just some random ass artist or something, so it depends on who I'm talking to as well.
I think the
But the authority
rules
thing.
have changed now. I think with the style of tattooing that has become the most popular, the fastest, not being the highest of quality and being the bold and upfront, that's what's become trendy. The stuff over the eyelid, the
Right.
anchors on the side of the face, and it's a lot more acceptable now.
Like quick and trendy, and it changes your appearance entirely right away.
Right.
Something nice, quick and drastic, but easy, but also doesn't take a lot of effort to really.
Which
make happen.
was not heard of 20 years ago.
Yeah, I believe that.
Like, not saying people have face tattoos,
Yeah.
but in their lane, in you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
now the kid at Kroger's like, what's up? Always tired on my face. Love it. Love you for being you. I don't want you ever to stop being you.
Right.
I love that you're able to express yourself. Learn that
Right.
shit first.
The day it becomes a bad thing is the day you feel insecure about it, mister.
Yeah. And not having the maturity to understand what you're doing. If I'd have got the tattoos I wanted when I was 13, god damn, this would be such a wreck. You know what I mean? Like, they're permanent.
Mhm.
Grow into those things.
Yeah. As a tattoo artist, it's good to be
I feel like the
mature, and I don't want to say greedy, not greedy or whatever, but like someone shouldn't be tattooed. I mean,
it takes a
talk
mature
to
tattooer
talk to
have
people
that
about the
conversation.
reality of everything.
It's all about delivery, like everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Doing it out
Well,
of concern for the person.
And just because you can find somebody to do it doesn't mean you should find somebody to
And
do
if
it.
there's some selfish reason why, or any reason why you just don't want to do the project, just
My
find-
bro Jimmy
let 'em know
Jam
someone else is out there for it.
down
That's
the
okay.
road will hook this up for $48 in a 6-pack. He got his gun from Amazon. We're doing it.
Yeah.
So you gotta
Yeah. These days there's
approach it
definitely
correctly.
Yeah.
definitely done a lot of hands without a lot of other tattoos and stuff. And it just happens a lot nowadays. So it's hard to be hard on that.
Right.
I guess when I really look back at the amount of people that, you know, probably that could be listening to this going, oh man, yeah, I don't got, you did my hand and I don't got the rest of my arms tattooed. And so I never really thought about it, you know, back then, you know, if I like, unless it was like memorable and it was like, oh man, you don't have anything, you know, and you just
started there, huh, Jim? All right.
First off, it's always going to be the pain for me. It's like, oh man, you want to start on your hand. This is going to be a long day and a difficult day.
Now.
Even my stupid little one,
Right.
the guy's like, you don't want me to do this. I'm
Right.
like, no, just do it. He's like, I promise you, you're gonna regret this. If you're telling me you want me to do it, I will. But you're not gonna want this. It's not gonna be worth it. It's gonna fade. It's all this stuff. Yeah. And now here I am 5 years later. I'm like, gosh.
See, I didn't.
The
think
$20
hands would have
tattoo
that.
wasn't worth it.
Oh, there was a I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this. I did tattoo removal for a while. I'm not going to say names of anywhere that this happened at or the companies that I did it for ever. But hearing the stories of why people wanted tattoos removed was my goddamn favorite. Because you never asked, but they're fucking telling you. They're coming in. They're hot about it.
This is
They're
the
letting
closure.
you know what's going on about this jacked up piece. And
You won't even guess,
it was,
man.
It was great. It
That's
was my
funniest
favorite.
I bet.
It was my favorite.
I bet.
Yeah, people would always come in like, so my ex. Yeah, I know. Where's it at? Is it script? Oh, OD. Okay. All right. Well, good times.
Oh, yikes.
That's why I always loved the cover up rescue save the day show. I don't remember the people in it or the name of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be disrespectful to it, but I always loved. They're like, that's a train wreck. Let me blast over it. Good times. Good times.
Jordan fixed one of my tattoos like that. This
Right.
was a free tattoo I won in a promotion. So that was the first idea.
Yeah.
My first tell that this was bad. Now looking back, and it was you pick from what's already drawn. So it's like from a new artist at the shop. All right, Ben, my lucky day. So I figure like I'll pick something just totally random and we'll just, go with it. So I had a cobra with flower patterns on it wrapped around a paintbrush. I paint mildly.
I have painted. I say I'm a painter.
Yes. And I'm just like, I laugh so much about it. Thanks for I never really cared too much because it makes me laugh. So I'm never too hard on those tattoos that I don't love because I love them for the story at this point. But boy, do I like not looking at it anymore. It's completely gone and it's so great.
It's the same with I've got
That was definitely tattoo
Rescue.
tattoo rescue. That's the word I was looking for.
I have grown out of some tattoos. I have some things that are covered. There's a point in my life where I thought a FTW piece on the middle of my stomach was exactly what I needed in my life.
Free the
And
world.
just one day. No, forever two wheels, buddy.
For 2 wheels.
Duh. I used to have DNR tattooed across my chest. Once you have a baby, that kind of becomes irrelevant. I want to be alive. I'm a baby. So it's okay. Live, laugh, love, grow. So I'm not mad at it, but yeah, I love a good cover up. My whole forearms are cover up.
Yeah.
I got the same tattoo as my brother.
My wrist.
Because it was one of those hey bro, we're gonna bond and I'm gonna get the same tattoo as you and it's gonna be super fucking cool. We're gonna love each other forever. And then he had an affair with my wife. Gonna blast over it. Changes. Yeah, so that's why I got a bunch of wind bars. Yeah.
Yep.
Get them cover ups. Heal from
man.
that process.
I'm glad you healed.
Remove those things because life changes. Everything changes. Adapt
Adapt and evolve.
Yay. Or just blast over it with wind bars.
Wind bars.
Blast over.
Life's metaphor for revolution.
You know what? I didn't like that. You know what I did? Blacked it out. That's been like a common thing in my life. Things
Don't
aren't
like
going
that.
right.
Black it
Black
out.
it out.
Right?
What? I don't want to remember this process. Black it out.
You got roses you don't like. Your girlfriend's name. Black it out. You want big ambiguous shapes on you, covering all the work that you don't like. Black it out.
So Fawn and I have often joked about, and I think she's more pseudo serious about it than I am, but making me a blackout expert, and my niche.
We're gonna black you out.
No, I got a lot of work, buddy. I don't want to do that. My niche in tattooing could be
Only to black people out.
just become a blackout artist. I know I'm not putting anything over top of it. I'm just gonna put velvety packed in 32 wide, shovel head, fucking just black, and then she'll go in and put funny stuff on top of it, fancy stuff. I'm gonna say fancy. Not funny.
I was thinking.
I didn't think it was gonna be
funny
comic
shit.
strips.
What could you put on top of it?
Snippies. But I was like, that's probably about the reach of my artistic ability. I think I could learn the process of tattooing. I think I could apply ink to the skin, but like stay in the lines, create the lines. Fuck off.
That's where I'm like, if I had just like a color in
Right?
thing,
Like I'm great
I
at
could do
painting.
that.
I'm great at painting.
brushstrokes for
If
sure.
it's a wall, like, you want the wall to be a color? I'm your guy. Got it. So maybe we apply that to tattooing. Just,
Big, bold shades. You can do a whole arm of like pink.
and then when artists want to do blackout full projects and do the pretty color layovers, they can subcontract their blackout work to Velvety Smooth Ben. And then they
Velvety
say,
Smooth Ben.
This guy.
That's her name already.
all this fucking guy does is black stuff out. Do you want him to draw a smiley face? He
He's the
won't.
BSP.
He won't.
He can't.
He will not. But he'll black out your leg. Go see him, then come see me. And then I can have like a vital, like subcontracting blackout service.
I think it's great.
I think it's a beautiful idea, and
I could travel. I need one machine and one
I'll
color.
be disappointed if we don't see a little bit of this. I want to see some black.
Probably will never happen. Just throwing it out there.
Give you a machine.
Okay, if there's anybody out there that wants to volunteer some skin time, I am willing to black out your tattoo for you. I will acquire the equipment. I know enough people. I'm sure I could get some loaner stuff. I'll even practice once before it goes down.
Just once.
Once.
Let them do it.
Once. I've never operated a tattoo machine in my life, but I was a tattoo apprentice for like 6 months.
You have been warned. You have been warned, but it's a great opportunity.
I'm just saying, you want me to turn you into road rash? Bring me your skin.
Hamburger.
And I'm sure I could find a senior artist to stand over my shoulder and make sure I don't murder you. I'll throw it out there to the world. Throw it out there to the world. See what happens.
See what manifests.
Universe claps back. We're in. We'll see. We'll see. I guess maybe that's what we should start doing. We're just talking about trying to find random hobbies. Maybe we should just start randomly talking about like cool things and seeing just what happens.
See what sticks to the wall.
I'm
what
thinking
noodle
about
sticks.
learning to like rappel, or just see if somebody's like, yeah, that'd be fun. Okay, cool. Now I got a rappel buddy. Let's do that shit.
That's awesome. So you want to rock climb?
No, I'm fat. Bud.
Yeah,
You see these
rel-
delicate ass fingers?
I want to
They're
rappel
fat.
down the walls.
Yeah,
I don't want to climb up the walls. Fuck that.
Zip line, maybe is what I want.
Fuck that.
Yeah, I don't know. Work sounds good.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
zip line.
No, rappelling.
Oh yeah, I'll go rappelling right now. Let's do it. Let's do it. I need to find people that like actively want to go backpacking, because like people suck. I just want to go, and I don't want to go by myself, because that's what I do every day. I hang out by myself. It's less enjoyable when you're in the middle of the woods and you're like, well, we're here,
Right.
let's sit here.
I love myself for a while.
I've been in the woods all day. It's good to see the woods. Cool.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Things are very nice shared,
Yeah.
especially the outdoors. It's gonna be so beautiful when you see them alone, but it's just the memory sticks
There's
so much better. There's so
times-
much more weight to it when you got someone else who can see it with you.
There's times I love being by myself. Love it.
Right.
It's
But
exactly
when you do
what
it
I
for a
want.
while and you get used to it, then that's probably when you
Yeah.
start to appreciate it so much more.
Well, on day 2, I've had enough me time. I'm not that interested. I want to get out of my head at that point. Start talking to squirrels, communicating with salamanders.
Right.
Just it gets weird fast. That's all I'm saying.
I like it. I like that though.
I
It's a
have-
fun realm.
I have high aspirations of trying to hike the Appalachian Trail. And it's like, part of me is like, do you find a hiking person that wants to have the same attempt? Or do you just know there's going to be people there and not have to worry about it and be like, if someone happens to have the same goals and speed and style, and I don't want to murder you after 8 hours in the day and want
Yeah, you wanna
to
walk together?
can you really plan on that? Or should I convince some other poor soul that they want to
I
walk
don't know.
2,000
A
miles?
part of me thinks, if you guys are, if you are deep and you are really, really far out there, I'm sure most people are starting to feel that, oh my God, it's so awesome to see another human.
Yeah, but it's populated enough to where
People are like, I'm on my own journey here.
there's a town every couple of days. Like you're never really like so far out to where there's one stretch of 100 miles where you only have one contact point, and that's literally like the hardest 10 days of being by yourself. That's the hardest stretch.
You gonna be honest and be mama bear?
Mom it up.
You gotta have someone.
See, but
So many things could happen. You could twist your ankle and then
I completely
bear.
agree with you. But on a trail that's heavily populated, you have to sleep in the checkpoints. You have to sign in. You're tagged. You're
really?
Yeah. To hike the AT, you have to if you're through hiking,
They know you're out
you
there.
sign in.
I mean,
you're
I'm not saying that like I
registered,
know.
They tag your bag. You
so
check
every
in.
day you have a check-in point.
Well, I don't know about every day, but that way, if it's at like certain, you have to stop at the shelters. You're supposed to only sleep in the shelters and designated places. Everybody goes camps and camps along the way. Don't get me wrong, but you're supposed to sign the books as you go by. It's not as out in the desolate by yourself as most people think it is. Most stretches are 2-3 days before you're at another town, but you're like, okay, there's Walmart.
Yeah.
Like is it a huge task? Yes. Would it have been way harder in the 70s and 80s? Bet. But it's so modernized now, and there's so much traffic on it. People do little sections, so not everybody out there is trying to do the whole thing, and it's very populated. You're going through a lot of parks, and
I have a friend whose parents, I think, own a bed and breakfast along the route.
hook that name.
Yeah,
up.
let me try to figure out who that is. It's just popping into my head, and it's like a
2024.
saw it on Facebook recently, I
Right.
think.
2024. I'm going to try to do.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
That's the goal.
That's awesome. I really hope you do that.
Well, I mean,
I know you will do that.
Yeah, I will do it, but it's about setting up to have the space to be able to do it. You got to be able to pay your bills for 5-6 months and not be at your house.
Right.
So
Right.
It takes 5 months.
How do I pause my life?
1,100 some miles. Yeah, it's of people that don't hike do it in about 5 months.
You're coming back a new
5-6
person from
months.
that.
Oh, you sleeping outside for 6 months, so it would be a different person.
Yeah. I
Carry
can
your
imagine.
food on your back for 6 months, you'll be a different person. But I'm in. I think
Yeah.
it sounds like a blast.
I think you need to do this.
Yeah, I'm pumped on it.
I feel like
really
there's no one in my life I could see doing that quicker.
Right.
I feel like you would be the first person I would think of.
Majority of people that attempt it aren't backpackers first. They're spur of a moment, putting this together, gonna go buy all new gear and throw it in my pack and attempt.
That seems crazy.
And that's what the majority, it's college kids and people that are like, fuck it, we just bought $100 worth of gear on Amazon, let's walk. I've played in the woods for a while. My kids dialed in. I know my mileage capacity, and when you start doing it every day, it's only going to get better. You know what I mean? So I think I'm being it's a little bit more experienced and a little bit more not out there to party, which a lot of people are. They're just there to hike from camp to camp and be the social aspect and get fucked up. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm old. I want to go to bed at 10. As long as you want. Put on earphones. Like, so I think I have a different approach to it than the majority of the crowd that's doing it. And I think I'll find that niche of older people that are also not there to. They're there to hike and get it done.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see your people out there for
Yeah.
sure. There's gonna be the group of people like you said, but then there's gonna definitely be your people out there where it's like, fuck
Right.
yes, finally the people that are like really investing themselves in this shit or like really care about it
Just
are here.
like
This is the
any
place where
crowd.
these people.
Right.
There's people there with the same agenda as you. There's going to be a lot of people that don't, and that's okay. That's on them. You're there for you, do you, and you'll find the people that are also doing them, and you'll align. But to commit 4 or 5 months to being outside,
It's a hell of a commitment.
it's a little bit of planning.
Does it get really cold?
It can be cold depending on how you hike. If you start super early in Georgia, it's still snowy in the mountains. If you start late in the season, it's snowy in the Smokies. If you don't get to Mount Katahdin in time, they'll actually close the mountain because it's impassable. Because it's the season hits so fast, it's like 1, 2, 3, frozen. Sorry, you can't climb. So there's definitely a window to do the whole thing in one shot. You know what I mean? But I think that since I would probably be able to do it a little quicker than the average bear, I'll be able to hit all the good. I'll be able to start late enough in the season and be fast enough to hit all the good weather.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
really
awesome.
cool.
It's a lot of planning.
That's great.
It's a lot of planning.
It
Yeah.
sounds really hard, but it sounds really gratifying. And it sounds like a lot of fun, you know, where you're just in a fucking adventure, like a full on journey.
Yep. Like I'm gonna plan some key points, but I think a lot of it's gonna be winging it for
There's
me.
gonna be days that are bad. There's gonna be days that are good. Days that you're depressed. Days that you're just feeling fucking great.
You are exerting hiking super high in calories. Like you really put 25 pounds on your back and walk around your block. That's a full pack. You know what I mean? Like that's 3 days worth of food and water and everything you need to live. And that's a heavy pack. You know what I mean? Like,
So what do you do on your 10-day stretch?
yeah, there's drop points.
Oh, okay.
You mail stuff to somewhere in between, or you overload your pack and you carry a
You
70
carry
pound
that
pack.
shit. Oh
Like,
my gosh.
just
Wow.
But when you've been hiking for a while, and that stretch, most people start in Georgia and go north. So by the time you've hit that stretch, you're a lot more seasoned. You've been sleeping
that's
outside for a while. You know what you need to eat for 10 days. You know that you can do it on 6-pack of ramens, 14 tuna packs, 3 packs of summer sausage, 4 hot sauces. And you can break it down a little bit better, and you're a lot more seasoned. That's why a lot of people don't recommend that you go south, because the hard part's in the front. And it bums a lot of people out, and they start and they hit that 100-mile wilderness and they're like, well, I'm done. That sucked.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm pumped about it. I feel like I've been gabbing about it for a while. So
No, it's okay.
Not at
I've been excited to hear about it. I really can't wait till you do that.
I think there's going to be a lot of it's going to be I have a hard time accepting help, and I think it's going to be I'm going to be dependent on, hey, I needed you to mail my food to this location where I am now at and have no food. So there's going to be a lot of I'm going to have to build that network. I'm going to have to build that trust level for other people. There's a lot of relying on the kindness of strangers. There's a lot of sleeping around motherfuckers you don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'm excited for a lot of the different aspects of it. But
all the things you're not even going to be able to imagine that are going to happen too.
But things we have to sort out first. Prepaying for 4 or 5 months of income on top of expensive trip.
Right. That stuff comes first.
Yeah. Find someone that you trust to stay in your home for that amount of time. Someone to keep your dogs alive for that amount of time. Someone to watch your child for that amount of time. There's a whole, it's not fair to my soon-to-be ex-wife to then have to now change her complete schedule for 5 months.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Huge
convenience to her, and that's rude to ask of someone else. So there's a whole lot of things that need to be lined up before it's even. But It's just a plan.
Goals.
A plan is just
Yeah.
steps. You know, like keep doing the steps. Eventually the plan will get done.
Right.
So
And you gotta have the dream first. Like nothing's gonna come if you don't have the dream first. You gotta dream it up. You gotta
it's all
play
possible.
around in the imagination land of possibilities.
Anything's figure outable.
Let it manifest itself.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna happen unless you get an idea, I
Just
guess.
keep saying you're gonna do something. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Eventually, you know what? Oh fuck, here I'm doing it. All right, here we are. I guess I made all these commitments. Yay.
Right. After see, that's another thing though. I'm sure though, like that's once you start getting deeper and deeper into it, you start investing yourself and you're like, shoot, I bought, you know,
There
I bought
becomes a
all that.
bailout point that it's not, you can't.
Yeah.
It's like we're not turning back. We're in this deep now.
I've got somebody coming to live at the house. Like I don't like I've set all these things up. Why wouldn't I do it? And that's also super daunting as far as an accomplishment of doing it. Like, no, I have planned for
I'm fucking doing this.
I am walking.
Right, almost out of spite.
It's rain. My knee is broken. I got 3 jacked toes on the other side. I'm walking. It's my time to shine. So I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of work.
That's
Just
amazing.
Yeah.
Just walking.
I can't wait to see when you come back from it one day.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the new
I'll be
band.
all hippie.
You're like, my name is John now.
Forrest Gump, long
Right.
ass everything.
just ragged.
You can call me Benjamin. Benji.
We got the fancy on the trial. I don't know. Like everybody's. A lot of people say they experience a whole lot of growth and life changing. You know, and you can't expect not to. From even just changing your environment
That drastically for anything. Yeah.
That's like, I mean, talk about what we talked about with like neural pathways and habit changing. Like you are drastically cutting out every habit you have.
Yeah. And
then
rearranging.
really identifying them to a T when if you're walking around outside for that long, say like
you're simplifying
everything. Without all the things that you normally have, like you're still going to think about those things. And I feel like that might be like more part of the battle too,
right? Like
when you're hiking, is your habits. Like you're feeling those neural pathways where you're like, oh shit, I really do want to fucking smoke a blunt right now, but like we're just gonna keep fucking walking. Or like maybe you're someone who drinks and you want to drink, but you don't. It's stupid for you to drink right now or anything like that.
We're all creatures of habit, so it starts to be your job. So like even now, like okay, so I went from being a freelance salesperson, worked my own hours, did whatever I want, checked in when I wanted to. Now I work a very structured, very scheduled job. So when you have that ingrained in you that this is what I do from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, and you transfer that into now my job is to get up in the morning, pack up my shit, walk, find a place to sleep. It turns into almost a chore. Do you know what I mean? And over 4 or so months of that, that's what I think I'm going to struggle with. I think that you're going to kill something you love and then have to push through that to finish your commitment.
Yeah,
I
can see that. I can feel that being the like part of the unexpected journey.
Yeah,
but halfway through, I bet you I'm like, fuck this.
Right.
I never want to hike again.
Right, but you're faced with that. Those are the demons. That's where you're faced with like your shadow and all the things where all your uncomfortabilities come up. Like all the things where it's like, God, I kind of want to go home. Your ties to everything. All of that where you have to push through. It's like, if you really want this, you're gonna have to do the work to do it. Like it's gonna get fucking hard. It's gonna be painful as shit.
Turn into a job.
You're not gonna want to do it at all, but you still gotta push through. I feel like that's part of the journey.
I'm excited.
And then you make it through though, and then you get to the end, and you're like, holy fuck, I made it. I feel like tattoos are kind of like that. A lot of things in life are like that. Tattoos.
Well, and when you simplify
tattoo
everything.
Podcast.
When you get tattoos, I'll get an AT tattoo, and I'm done for my accomplishment. Yeah, it's just like anything. to have a collection, you've got to have the willpower to sit in the chair that long. Like it's about dedication. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Like the maturity that's going to come with it, just all of that.
I'm excited to simplify.
Anyone who takes on a journey like that, where it's like you're, in some sense facing insurmountable odds,
Right.
basically, where it's like, it's this thing where it's not just going to happen quickly. There's no instant gratification. I have to chip away and chip
Right.
away and chip away and chip away in a way that I've never done before. Like and all these little things, I'm sure every day you're walking when you have months ahead of you, and one day feels like, it feels like a long time when you're doing it. And then it's like, it's really kind of like nothing, but really it's a big thing. But then it's like you're faced with like, oh my God, it feels
I've
like
been doing
nothing.
this for 2 months.
Right.
Right.
First 15 days have got to feel fucking like forever,
Right.
until it just becomes just like habit, just whatever habit you create to just get by, and your mental habits of when you make food, when you do this, your little personal like reward systems you probably create.
Well, you get so caught up, just like we were talking about rearranging the habits in your day-to-day pattern. So to be able to really simplify what you value in your day as, okay, I slept, I ate, I accomplished my task, I slept, I ate, I accomplished my task. It allows you to break your thought pattern back down to when you go back to day, is it really important for me to be involved in 3 hours of Facebook time every day? Is it really important for me to get drawn back into the meaningless and pointless things that weren't actually gratifying, that you use to fill your time with instead of investing yourself in? Because now you've redeveloped that.
You broke the
reconnection.
habit so you can build new habits.
You can rebuild that what actually matters.
Yep.
I found out that I need my music to get through the day. I can you know what I mean? Like, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Bumped on it. Bumped on it.
It's awesome.
A big saying that
So-
Joe always talks about is your personality, or your personal reality is your personality.
Right.
So it's like, if you want to change, who you are, it sometimes does take, like, not saying like, changing yourself completely, but if you want to change your habits and lead a whatever more fulfilling life and stuff like that, changing your personal reality,
Right.
changing those habits, what you do on a daily, who you talk to on a daily, the music you listen to on a daily, all of those things.
Well, it's the same as like struggle breeds growth. So in order to do something, you have to be uncomfortable. So if you want to save money, you have to feel broke.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's part of the
It's living in the unknown, which is what brings all the
Right.
bounty. You know what I
Right,
mean? When
right.
you start thinking, you wake up and you're like, oh, I already know what today is going to be like, and I'm already going to do this. It's like, oh, you already not ruined your day, but you limited your chances of something awesome happening
Yep.
when you wake up and think how it's going to play out.
Yep.
We shouldn't ever know. Every day is new. It's a quantum field where your next step is only identified by the step you just took, So changing those slight little things will set you on a different path. It's a series of dominoes.
I got a different candy bar today.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Rest of my afternoon.
Right.
I know that sounds dumb, but like
No.
literally was like
Right.
switch.
Yep.
Little things.
A whole
make big
different feeling,
differences.
I think even with stuff like that, you start working with the senses and how your memories are tied to things. So like you always liked fucking, Milk Duds or something. Now you're switching to Skittles. Now you got a different taste for you. Maybe you do something a little bit different too, since you have this intention of wanting to do something different. Now you're eating Skittles, but then you do something a little different. So you're creating this like taste connection with things, or now you're just changing things up completely.
Like-
So you even like you're creating new sensory pathways. So you're hitting a lot of areas with
It's
it.
like running into somebody that you knew really well 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, and you walk back into their life and you see the sliver of life and you're like, where's the bongo drums? Where's the fucking ping pong table? We used to play euchre there every weekend. Where's the fucking card table? Like, who are you? What have you done? Oh, you're different.
Right.
You evolved.
As it should be.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
No,
But it's
yeah.
like you build these bubbles of what we expect from people and what your vision of who they are is. And just like you, everybody shifts. So it's weird to cut back in on people and see, oh, that's where you went. Never mind. I don't think we're the same vibe anymore.
I feel like that touches on how hard it can be for people to get over certain habits and to change and get over habits and emotions and stuff when the people around you know you as a certain thing so much that the way you identify yourself with is the way that you've built your relationship with the people around you, or trying to fit the image of the way people see you and whatever.
And as that changes, it makes them uncomfortable.
But then it makes you so it makes it just generally a little bit more an uphill battle for you to do that, because now maybe it doesn't work with their lifestyle at all. So then, you got these drastic changes that you want to make, but people around you,
right.
But that's even a more extreme way to say it. I feel like even on small levels, like sometimes even just small emotional habits, sometimes it's hard to change without us even realizing it, because we're on the same people. People around us are all really sad, so we stay really sad. And if I was to
and
be
those
happy,
feelings
then,
you get addicted to.
we can't. We're not going to. Our egos relate so much on being sad together that if I was happy, it just wouldn't fit in, because they would feel envious unless they felt as though they were, or maybe not. Hopefully, they're good enough friends that aren't going to feel that way. But I feel like naturally, subconsciously, if that's how everyone is bonded, is off of sadness and stuff like that, then once you start feeling really happy,
every relationship is built on a symbiotic exchange, right? So you produce some value that I feel that I need and you see in me, and it doesn't need to be monetary. It can be a mental disposition. It can be you like to paint, I like to paint. Oh, let's exchange ideas. This is information equality. So every relationship is based on give and take. So when those expectations of what you've built your information receiving from that person change, you're now mentally not satisfied by that exchange.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Your expectations of what you have built for your mental
exchange
symbiotic relationship isn't there.
I found that a lot after quitting the service industry and having a lot of friends that girls at work that we'd bitch together.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then after not working with them for so long and working in an environment where I love my job, going back to those people, you see them 6 months later, and the first thing, let me tell you about what's happening now, and just go right into bitching. And then it's the responsibility. Yeah.
Bar friends.
Yep.
Okay. So I worked at bars for years and years. You see people in a certain state. They would come in, they would obviously drink. We're at a bar. They're there to see a show. They're there to hear music, whatever. They're at that prime energy. They're pumped. They're having a good time. And then you see them at Kroger.
Yeah.
And they walk up to you and you're like, who? You see me at where? Ben, we talked for an hour on Friday. I don't even recognize your energy connection, because right now you're a completely different person. You're not in party mode. I linked with party mode. That's who I know you as. That's where my brain links up with your brain, and you're not there right now, and I'm not right there right now. So it's huh?
I feel that. I could see that with my tattoo clients and stuff like that too. I a lot of times feel like I probably wouldn't recognize a lot of people outside of it. I might, but also I feel like it's just not not paying attention to these people outside of that environment. It's I don't recognize you.
Yeah.
Is it just I don't know. Well, maybe I would. Maybe,
you don't spend a whole lot of time looking at their face. So
right. It's not a different connection.
delete. Well, it's you just sense memory, just like you remember a smell and it brings you back to a certain time, just like you taste pizza and you remember your 13th birthday pizza party, and that sauce is what takes you there. You do that with people subconsciously. So when those triggers aren't hit, that connection isn't, and you're just, what? You don't smell like Miller Lite and cigarettes. What's going on?
Right.
You know what I think from this conversation is how much to be weird though. How much to if you want to be a certain way or you want to do a certain thing, and part of you doesn't has that feeling where it's like, what would the people around me think if I just did this thing that I want to do? But like no one around me does it. People like, I already know they think it's going to be weird, or maybe I think it's weird, or whatever that is. That's like, it's weird to you is what's keeping it from it, you know. Just do whatever the fuck it is you want to do, and the people around you will acclimate to it if they love you, because who gives a
Not
fuck
even
what
that.
anyone thinks if you
They'll
want to do something, because I guarantee you don't
Like
want to hurt
attracts like.
you don't want to hurt anyone from it. You don't want to, you know, all you want is the best for anything.
Right.
If you want to change, or you want to do, you know,
If
whether
you're
it's
doing it out of
emotional
love,
change, physical change, you want, you know, to do something different in life, you want to completely change your life, or you want to take on a new hobby that like you think some people just think is dumb. Like it's like, fuck them. Like
you'll find someone else that thinks it's the coolest fucking thing in the world.
you like making Play-Doh sculptures, and like you just
like
your house
attracts
is full of
like.
Play-Doh sculptures everywhere, and it is
Eventually, somebody will be like, "Those are fucking sweet,"
right.
and that's your person.
Yep.
So, like, your brain is designed to send and receive electronic signals. It's its job, right? So when it finds the signals that link up, it's happy. So when you project the signal that you want, that's who you are and who you want to be in all levels,
consciously
all the time, people will A, like you said, adjust, or B, hone into that shit. You will attract that same.
Or people
energy.
are like, oh wait, I thought that was weird, but that's pretty fucking cool, actually. Like it's like you actually showed me that in a way that
or
like,
you just randomly meet them, and when you start getting into stuff, all of a sudden your Uber driver has a sister that's super into that too, and has a shop related to it, and you're like, holy shit, universe.
When you get into knitting and you hang out in the yarn section at Hobby Lobby all the time, and then you're standing there and the other tatty bro walks in looking around, and you're both there like picking out your super cool color of yarn, and you just blink eyes. Got your cross stitched out, bro? You want a little help with it? Because you're in that environment, you create that area to be accepting of that energy. I don't care if you're into hopscotch. If you hang out playing hopscotch long enough,
right,
so
you'll attract the energy that you put out, the things that you're interested in.
So if you're a piece of shit and you're continually a piece of shit, you know what?
You know what you're gonna attract?
Other pieces of
More
shit.
More shit.
Opposite is also true. It's just like
I feel like that's like when people
also
describe what like
meanest.
magic is, what real magic is. It's like that's like the willpower to like attract what you want. You know, it's
Yeah,
just like
that is magic.
putting your willpower out there to attract what you want, because the universal whole everything in life will come to you. But you gotta figure out what it is you want. You gotta have an will and an intention. If you go around with no will and intention, then like there's, you know, things are just ambiguous, but you'll find it one day, as long as you got the intention to even want an intention.
Well, that's why focusing on things that are positive and negative are what create that bubble. So when you are continually a piece of shit and you think about, oh, this is wrong, I'm scared about tomorrow,
magically
go wrong,
you're gonna make more shit.
Man, I'm not gonna hit the curve. I'm not gonna hit the curve. I'm not gonna hit.
Right.
Your brain doesn't know positive or negative. It knows curve. So when you focus on the things that aren't important, you project the things that you're worried and you're scared about. You attract the things that you're worried and you're scared about. When you project the things that you're happy and you're enthusiastic about, you attract the things that you're happy and enthusiastic about. It's a pretty weird concept.
Yeah. I mean,
we've all seen The Secret, people. Let's just be real. But like,
I honestly,
the tongue casts the most powerful spells. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you want it in life, talk about it. Like you're saying, talk about the things you want to do. I love that. I have so many friends where it's like we catch up and stuff, but then it's always like always focusing on the cool things or what we're thinking about or our next plans. It's never remember when.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you get stuck in the remember when stages and talking about old things, you're like, you're going to be staying in that past. But if you talk about all the things you want to do or what you're trying to do in the summer, and like
I
those
like to
things will
remember
come.
wins while we're doing the next thing.
right.
So we're on our way to do this. Year.
As
One time we
opposed-
blacked out in the cornfield.
Right, as opposed to like, oh man, it was so good when like, you know,
Right.
like, oh,
No,
man,
this
I remember
sucks.
I hate
Yeah.
I always hate the like I remember the good old days type
Yeah.
like attitude
I
and
know,
stuff.
You were
Like,
12 and made a rubber. Shut the fuck
you were
up.
bitching about life back then.
Yeah, you
Fuck
were
off.
pissed off then too. Mom and
Right.
Dad are mean to me. My bike's got a flat tire.
Good old days, yeah. Back when you can hit kids.
Maybe that's what it is. I've never thought of it that way. Maybe just deep down who I am is someone that wants to beat children. This is a joke.
Yes. We're laughing at the absurdity.
This is why we're not on Spotify, guys.
Yeah, they won't let me.
We tried.
They won't let
We
me.
tried.
They keep me
We
metered.
tried real hard.
A 30-second delay is not enough. He just kept going. That fucker.
Oh.
So what rabbit hole did we just dive down again?
A good one.
We've been
That was good.
at
That
it.
was powerful.
Intentions.
We've been good at it.
Thank you guys for that conversation. I felt like that was great
I've
conversation.
listened to a lot of self-help books.
I needed that.
I'm charged after therapy.
Yeah.
Just had a great session.
So since
We love that.
since my life has taken some changes here recently, I've been subscribing to the thought of speaking to other people, and it really is less about trying to find answers and more about clarity.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it almost pisses me off because the person that I talk to is like, well, you're the expert on you. Tell me about it. And then by the time you're done bitching, you're like, oh, well, I guess I am just a jerk and I probably could have handled that a little or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's one of those times when you allow yourself the space to have the availability to even work through a
Consider what you could have
conscious
done better, where you
thought
could have been wrong.
process. Yeah. Or even just have a someone that doesn't have an opinion.
Right.
Mhm.
And allow you, it's like so now you're able to see yourself as the observer, as you're thinking about it from, so when you think about someone in front of you, you're not thinking about all the thoughts that they're having about you and that all those
Right.
all those
Well, you're not-
intersections. You're thinking from an objective point of view when you're
Right.
saying these things, so you're able to just say it like it is, and then you realize, and then you start rationalizing it because you're
You also don't have a
seeing it
biased
from your own
opinion.
filter.
Yeah.
You're not seeing it, or you're able to see it from like not your emotions anymore.
So if I were to come to you with a problem, your empathy and love for me changes how you have the conversation with me. Bluntness and brutal honesty with people you truly care about can be hard. So you're going to curb your reaction even and your response to cater to what you feel is helping that other person. Whereas someone that is non-biased, it's non-subjective to your life, can be like, wait a sec, so run that by me one more
Right,
time.
right.
You did what?
Right, wait.
What happened
Right, wait.
now?
Yeah, right. Tell me about your dad.
So that's okay. Like, you know, so it's
That's what I get a lot too. Like, that's okay, but can I give you a suggestion? And I was like, all ears, give me the suggestions.
Yeah. What I get a lot is so you're the expert on you and you know what results you desire from that because you just told me what was wrong. And when you take the time to verbalize what's wrong, it's like, well, duh, A plus B equals C.
Right.
Duh. But you never take the time to have somebody point out. It's a very, your response is this because you're upset.
Yeah.
Duh. Like, you know what I mean? And
It's an unfiltered response from this other person too.
They
That
don't
response
care.
isn't based on whatever you're talking about, whether it's from somebody else or whatever your experience or whatever it is you need to talk about. It's not coming from a place where you're wondering if their thoughts, yeah, exactly, are biased
Or
based on
any
whatever they're
judgment,
thinking.
you know?
Right. Yeah, the
It's-
judgment.
For me, I have a trouble with like very reactionary, right?
Yep.
So my therapist is awesome. She's so caring and just very like suggestive. You know, she's never telling me like, oh, you did this wrong.
Right.
You know, they're trained professionals who know how to deal with especially that reactiveness.
Yep.
So I'll be like, this is what I said. She'll be like, okay, well, that makes sense that's how you were feeling.
Yep.
Can I give you a tip of how we could have done that better to get the results you wanted in the
Right.
first place?
Right.
And I'm like, please, that's all I want. More tools, you
Yep.
know? If you're
Um,
looking for an epiphany in therapy,
they're always after.
yeah. Like,
They're later when you're like,
Right.
after you've been living it for a while, you're like, this is
if
why.
I don't repeat that pattern, I won't get this resolved.
Yes.
And especially there's just this huge wrong way of thinking, especially for dudes, that you're weak for asking for help or no one cares. You see it on social
Right.
media all the time. All the guys post about, oh, nobody gives a fuck, and I wouldn't call anybody, and nobody cares. That's bullshit.
Right. Or I'm going to therapy, so it means that there's got to be something really
Ha
wrong.
ha, you're
something really
weak.
wrong
You
with me or
can't
something.
handle it on your own. That's
Yeah.
Going to therapy is the
absolute
strongest thing you
total
can do.
bullshit.
Yeah,
You're way
because-
stronger mentally if you even go to therapy. I
Well,
feel like now
not
you're-
even. I want to.
It's not
Oh,
even
yeah,
like
maybe
that.
it's-
It's about a willingness to do better and an acceptance of we all need help. We're all fucked up. I have
in our own
never
special ways.
met one single human being who had it together ever in my life. We all struggle with some aspect of our life that gives us the urge. Everybody has that. And it's okay because we're programmed to think that way. And having somebody be like, have you ever thought about it this way? Have you ever mapped out your day this way? Have you ever thought about creating an environment to get the results that you want in a positive way without being judgmental, without being argumentative, without being, you need to do it for a certain reason. You're doing it because you need to take care of yourself. And I think it's really dumb to think any different.
Mhm.
And I really hate that, like, I'm a man, I can carry this on my shoulders.
yeah.
Let me tell you, eventually you can't.
It takes it takes strength to say, to go to a therapist. And I feel like, you realize how much benefit you have because of all the people that aren't doing that have so much going on. You realize when you start going to therapy, it's like this really does help for all the reasons that you talked about. But then you imagine, like, shoot, now I'm realizing how good this is for me to have this outlet. But I think about how many people probably even have it way worse that just don't ever do this and have this outlet and don't, or just aren't taking the time to, give themselves a little bit more like mental fortitude from, being able to get some of this stuff out.
Right. And when you
so
talk to somebody you
it's such a
are going
plus.
through the worst thing mentally, and they look at you and they go, yep, that happens. Yep, it sucks. It's sad. You're okay. I've dealt with this 300 times before. It normalizes your problem.
Yeah. Makes it not such a dramatic thing.
Oh wait,
I agree.
I'm not special.
Yep.
And I know that sounds crass, but you're not special.
Yeah.
Other people have dealt with this before and made it out alive. I'll be okay. Like, I don't know, it's weird. It's
I
weird.
love my therapist. She's always really great at, I'm sorry that happened to you. I can see why you might feel some of the ways you do. That makes sense.
Yep.
That's our big thing. And I like try to do that self with myself, just like the little tips I tell myself through the day, like, oh, that makes sense that this would piss me off. But now that I know it makes sense, do I want to let it continue to piss me off, or can I just let it roll? Because it happens all the time. So it makes sense that it would be annoying, but do you want to be bogged down with that forever?
Prioritize your emotional thoughts.
What a deep conversation today, you guys.
Yeah.
What weed are we
This was one of
smoking?
I'm sorry that Fawn and Derb, I don't know if Derb was going to
Right.
join, but I'm sorry that they missed this because this was a good one.
I think it's the dim light.
We got,
It
yeah,
wouldn't have
right.
been
We
the
got
same
into,
it wouldn't have been the same conversation.
it was the
We'd
one
have been
fluorescent
walking
thing.
around a convention.
Yeah,
It-
Right.
I wouldn't have. I'm really happy that we did though. I feel like we all probably needed this conversation, everyone in this room, and I hope some people listening ended up getting on a page that they didn't expect to get on, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I don't know.
and
It's-
that therapy is great.
It's weird
Yeah,
that
therapy is good, even if you feel like I don't know. It's helps create new neural pathways.
the deepest conversations for me always come when I don't expect them. And when I'm not ready to have them, and when I'm not have a prepared, like, oh, we're talking about mental health, let me come in and have my book of what to do. So it's really weird for me when these conversations kind of happen organically. Like it's I don't know. I never expect to have these conversations, but when I do, I'm always like,
Right.
okay, I guess this is what I need to do today.
Exactly right. It feels like you're like, oh, we were meant to have this conversation. It's like we're all sitting here on a podcast, but at the same time, we're all having a conversation with each other. Like this is a conversation, we
Right.
probably would all love
Just
to
between
have
friends
if we
smoking
didn't.
weed.
If
Yeah.
we didn't have the mic on, we probably would have gotten a
Well,
conversation like this. It sounds like that's
That's
the page we
beauty
all
of
needed to
what
get
we
on.
do. That's the beauty of what we do, because like this show has a unique freedom to fall into whatever the vibe is. Like, yeah, we talk about tattoos. We've talked about tattoos a fair bit, but like, it's about us. It's about life. It's about nothing.
And we're all humans, and the spectrum of being a human is pretty huge. So as a tattoo collector, yes, but you're also a human who is very complex and extreme to every person, so much differently complex than every other person, but every person next to you is got so much going on.
Yeah.
Whether it's all their interest in the good things in their life that they love to talk about, but then everyone's got the opposite of it going on at the same time. So I mean, I'm glad that we're here to talk about the whole spectrum of things, as opposed to just like, we gotta talk about tattoos. It's like, I wouldn't be able to do this podcast if it was just that, because like, I can talk a lot about tattoos, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like I love being able to talk about like what's going on in life and what my interests are, what our interests are, where all these shadow things that are going on right now.
What, if any, information have you guys ever heard about actual tattoo therapy?
Other than the IG hashtag of fake therapy.
Yeah, no, because so there's a lot of people.
There's really no reference for any of that.
A lot of people will get memorial tattoos or scar cover-ups or things along those lines, and we kind of downplay that a little bit, and how much that can create a healing space. And so I have a friend, Danny Michaels, who works out of Austintown. He has his own shop up there, but like, a lot of what he does is promoting that healing process through being expressive and through accomplishments and through, you know what I mean? So there's even this untapped, I don't know, like, I feel like it's a new branch of actual psychology of people that are putting forth effort into using tattoos as a healing process, just as
For so much
else. Yeah.
body image, like anything.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like it comes with that intention thing. I think people are being more intentional, and I feel like the more artists are being intentional and teaching their clients, to go about things with more intention, it just keeps spreading, where people are just being more conscious about the things that they're doing. They're being conscious, especially like, if there's anything good to be conscious about.
And that's what art's always done, right?
Right.
Inspired.
So maybe it's just the level of tattooing that's elevated over the years, where like you said, it's more accepted.
Right.
There's more, like, the image of a tattoo artist has changed from like some scary guy in a room with loud music to like artist.
Art.
Yes,
Like
it's an
Van
art
Gogh style
So I
art.
wonder if there's just more connection being built,
allowing the freedom to see that there's more to something than previously, you know what I mean? It's developed so much, especially in the past 15, 20 years, that the developments in technology, because it's been socially acceptable, and because there's been a demand for products, because it's a whole different world.
Imagine all the things that, if they're more socially acceptable, what healing could come from it, right? Like cannabis industry for sure. Now that it's getting more socially, like all kinds of amazing things are coming from just the, like, sure, it's legal, but like, it took being legal for it to be socially acceptable. Exactly. Because now we have old ladies who, I used to be afraid to do this, but now that it's legal,
that lip balm.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So, think about sex work. You know what I mean? How many less people would be hurt in that industry, and how many other fall off shitty drug industries, all these things, if there was more social acceptance for it to go on my hippie box post or whatever.
Well, no, it's the same idea. Like we live in a subgenre.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a category where most people would consider us unnormal, but to us that's completely normal to be heavily tattooed, to have extreme hair and stretched earlobes and whatever else we decide to do. And to some people, that to them is, oh my God, that's completely different. But because you built this negative bubble around it. It's the same with sexual freedom. It's the same with gender identity. It's the same with liking fucking cheese on your hamburger or liking beans instead of a hamburger. You should be allowed the freedom to choose and be whomever, whatever. But since we've put these shame, guilt on
so everything
because we were built in a religious society that put guilt on being anything other than this cookie cutter in the cog of you know, like,
Yeah, right.
I follow a lady that is a shame and trauma coach, and just
She coaches you how to shame people.
no, more of that. But I would follow too, just for fun.
Shame, shame, shame.
Like a lot of the stuff she does is crazy to think about, like why you feel guilty for certain things, why you feel shame for putting on the tube top when you don't think you fit the body image of the normal person, putting on your head tattoos and rocking it, and you know whatever, living that alternative lifestyle because that's who you are and feel happy being in whatever category that is, because we've been forced into that's not normal. Like, so it's cool to see somebody break down that line of thought, and have a broad approach to what we would consider shameful. Like I enjoy it.
There's a lot of little things,
Cool,
and that's
awesome.
like also like I think a huge part of our like capitalist society.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm in marketing, so I very much see it in everything now, and like so much marketing is meant to make you feel a little bit ashamed that if you don't have this, then you're not a part of the normal crowd. You know what I mean? So it's like, or everything in life is going to be showing you to be shamed. And I think that's where it comes into the having like your own, doing stuff for yourself, having your own bubble that at the end of the day, you can rely on your own self to like at least know what thoughts are real and what are marketing thoughts, you know, telling you don't wear that tube top. You can have yourself being like, I'm fucking wearing that tube top.
I feel like people just get lost in our minds get lost even in just in advertising, where you know.
We take in so much information.
Oh man, and then it just gets into our brains every day. So we think these people we see on TV, and we think these things are like things that we either should or shouldn't have. It doesn't even end up about the products anymore. It ends up about your image of these people that you see that are just actors that are just saying exactly what they're told to say. It's retook 100 times until it's finally gotten right. Like everything is controlled to such a T. Everything you see in every show, it's all controlled to such a T. Advertising, commercials, everything that like
all of a sudden
it's
no
all
bottom
manipulation
back.
and advertisement. It's not. It's for this product. They want an image
Because someone wore them, and
Now we've had 3 people wear them. This certain celebrity showed them on the runway and wore them boldly to a party, and then another one followed, and now there's a child's line at Kohl's. It's just like you said. So what funds movies? It's not fucking ticket sales. It's advertisement placing. It's Pepsi in the billboard. It's am I allowed to talk about big corporations? It is the big soda company and the tobacco company and the alcohol and the name brand on the bar in the background and the Versace suit and the Louis Vuitton handbag. And
I like Versace better.
Versace.
Someone should make it.
come on, Versace.
Change your last name, Versace.
I think I'm gonna let that happen. I need a cooler first name. But it is just like you're saying, you're receiving this information, and your mind is absorbing that is what is normal, and that's what is expected, and that's what is social, and that is what makes us involved in part of this larger community. When in my mind, it's the exact opposite. The more you detach from that norm, the more you detach from that broadcasted image of what we should and shouldn't do, and dive into what you like. Everybody likes sweatpants. Let's just be fucking honest with each other. Rock your fucking sweatpants. Like, I don't know. I feel the same way. I think that's why I don't watch the news. That's why I don't watch TV with commercials. That's why I don't feel that
commercials. They just upset me.
Commercials make me so upset. We both
We always
pick them apart.
mute it. Always. Like,
are you trying to get
angrily.
me feel this way?
I hate being manipulated like that so casually every fucking 10 minutes, you know, like every 10 minutes it's something like, especially with the pharmacy commercials. I know now it's a cliche to even say it because we all fucking know it, but they're so bad.
Wait, do I have Alzheimer's?
I laugh every time, and I'm like, you're literally trying to talk me into your pill. Like I think maybe I
The
might have-
most
I don't know, I might have
bold
this.
thing is
I think
at
I
the
might
end,
take this. I think I might bring this up to my doctor.
I've been
Dreaming about this
ask
for
your
some
doctor.
reason.
Right? How many doctors probably fucking hate that?
Ask your
I saw it on a commercial and I think I need it.
the boldest.
I could not
thing.
imagine being a doctor getting told what fucking pill you should take.
Right.
I'd be like, I'll fucking tell
They
you.
told me I needed Valium, sir. Is that the boldest thing of all of it is at the end. You're like, so you need this. You have these symptoms. You've sneezed. You need this drug, but all these horrible things are going to happen if you take this.
Yeah, right.
Your joints aren't going to work. You may cause shortness of breath. May cause momentary, brief thoughts of suicide. Like-
infertility, potential cancer,
Right. Read the list of side effects from an Ambien.
Brain
Tell me you wanna
damage.
take one.
70% end up in coma.
Or hear me out. I could not take that and just deal with the issue.
Right.
I have to deal with the problem. And we're not talking about like antibiotic. I'm not talking about when your doctor's like, take your penicillin. I mean, yeah, I got you there. But when you're telling me that I need this wild and crazy drug because this one time I coughed.
Yeah. See, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear
Undiagnosed
shit
TV
from
commercial.
pharmaceutical companies. I don't want to hear them describe
I
anything.
think-
Anyone who's making money off of it, I
Couldn't imagine.
I just like I don't want to
That'd be
hear. I don't want to
hurtful.
hear it from you.
Like I'm a huge believer in, like, especially for like mental health, using prescribed medications
Absolutely.
for one, if you need it, and two, for a time. It's not meant to be a lifelong. I've been on medications before, and then when things were getting better, it's like it's a bridge to get you back to that better place. You know what I mean? I hate the fact that there are so many commercials. So people are like, well, I've had sad days. I think I need Prozac. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Now you take Prozac and
Whatever
now you are
one it is.
depressed. Now
Right.
you're locked
Now
in.
that I've
you're locked
trained
in a
my body to
solidified-
this chemical dependency.
This is now an emotional and a physical thing. Now it's the physical part where you need to
Just
take
making it
something.
too commonplace where everyone's like having it's not an Advil. You know what I mean? But the commercials make it seem like it's like so no big deal. But and then I don't know. It's just
I'm an advocate of taking
scary.
if like if you feel like if you
yeah,
people need-
absolutely.
people
There's a
need
time
these
and a
things
place and for sure. But if you're learning about it through a commercial on TV, that's
Right.
probably not a great idea.
And you're never hearing,
You know
you're
what I
never
mean?
hearing
Like-
wise statements from like real doctors on TV about anything. It's always the pharmaceutical company telling you about all this fucking shit about
Using
it.
actors, not actual people who
You
did
know
it.
what's better?
Right, and when
It's
it's like
the
maybe
lawyers.
just giving a commercial that's 5 minutes of a doctor saying that it's very important. It's definitely makes sense to take prescription. If
I
you're
don't know,
prescribed
even
something,
then,
Why
like,
wouldn't you just address the issue? So, okay, we're pumping this medication for an issue, right? This is a solution to a problem. Why wouldn't you say, hi guys, my name is Dr. Benny T, and I have come across a amazing solution for this problem. I would love to help you solve this problem.
Right. Schedule a consultation to talk about treatment options.
That is
Right.
completely different than you need a pill.
Yeah.
It's so crazy what the medical industry, everything, even when you're learning in school, it's so much to learn how to what drugs to prescribe.
My favorite are the blanket lawyers. They're like, hey, so did you ride in a school bus between 1983 and 2028? We might have a lawsuit for you. Please call
Right.
1-800-GET
Something I thought was crazy is back when I was getting,
That happened in the cannabis industry
I've been
recently.
prescribed
I
to
bet.
a lot of things in my life, and from doctors that knew nothing about me. They
Mhm.
knew
Right.
nothing, and they were prescribing me things, and I wanted the prescriptions at the time, but I would be like, holy fuck, it makes me think less of you because you know nothing about me.
Yep.
And you're prescribing me something that's really not it's like I wanted it is helping, but it's also causing me extreme dependency on what this drug is, and you don't know me.
You're
at
told
all.
it's
You have
good
no
for you.
fucking clue.
You told you need it. Not even
Yeah.
not just
And
like, oh, it's good for you. You need it to be better.
They put me on a strain of medications when I was a youth because I was ADD and dyslexic, but instead of addressing of how to control your emotions when you're feeling these moments of
No, you need some
attention
Ritalin.
deficit, you need to learn to fucking focus, not to swallow pill.
Right.
I'm not a doctor, and don't listen to me, listen to doctors. But for me, they turned me into a fucking zombie in a mush machine who didn't have a cognitive thought. So that's not who I want to be.
Right.
Right.
That's not who I want to be.
There's always more psychological things to delve deeper into, and I think there's definitely like you said, where it's a bridge to the solution. You know, it's like it's not going to be
Sometimes it's not.
it's
Like,
not gonna
I
be the
get what you're
solution.
saying, but there
Yeah.
are some people that have
Forever, and that's
nerve
totally cool.
imbalance or whatever
Yes.
that makes life on medication a possible thing.
Yep.
And again, none of us are doctors.
But
None
none of
of
those
us.
things you see, none of those things you really see on TV or something that like.
It's
I
just the
don't-
commercials that piss us off.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just the
It's just the
commercials.
commercials.
I
I
get
just
it
can't
too.
imagine going to your doctor being like, I seen this on TV, and now I'm like, cool, this is the thing I'm going to be on for the rest of my
You think
life.
we can
now
try
I
that
seen
out?
this on TV.
Do you think we can try that out?
It's
Doc?
like, no,
To
if
be
I'm going to
honest-
be on this, I really hope that I would get this from someone who knew what the fuck they're talking about. And because it's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And for me to come up with the idea of maybe I need that because I seen it on TV, it's stupid for them to go through me to go to my doctor. It needs to go to my doctor and
Right.
come to me for, you know what I mean?
When the
Like,
majority of the time, the problem is sleep more and take better care of yourself. Drink a fucking extra gallon of water and see what happens.
and just always take the first step of seeing a therapist if there's anything mental going on. It doesn't have to be a big deal.
Or talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
Talk to
It
someone.
don't have to be no big thing. You know, it doesn't,
You
just
can call me.
it's like this conversation right here. Have that with someone, right? You talk some thoughts out. Maybe you end up into some deeper conversations with someone and just open yourself up to someone you feel comfortable with.
See, for me, when I went through some very traumatic stuff and ended up, a therapist recommended medication, whatever, went to the family doctor who I met that day through my insurance, gave me, some forms for anxiety, PTSD, and depression. And then it was like, oh yeah, you scored high in all of them. I'm like, oh,
Scored.
yeah. I was like,
What?
yeah, I was like, that's strange.
I won.
Oh, ding, 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 ding. You get
Okay.
And it ended up with the conversation. Okay, well, we want to do a SSRI, an antipsychotic, and then a mood stabilizer. Do you want this one or this one for your SSRI? Like, what do you mean? She's like, well, pick whichever one you want to try. I was like, that's how it works.
I don't know.
So then I just went through and literally she'd give me like a
Roulette.
list and be like, do you want Paxil, Wellbutrin, Zoloft, Boost Bar? I'm like,
Yes.
do I go by the names? Like, can you tell me what colors they are? Like, how do I pick?
Swallow
This
size. I'm going. Can I have the smallest
Right,
ones?
right, right.
And she was,
Which one doesn't potentially cause death?
28. I was 20 years old. I don't know what any of these things
Right.
are. I'm sitting in the office crying, and she's,
I feel like that's the medical industry as a whole.
oh,
anymore.
absolutely.
It is more about diversion than care. Like I've been dealing with this inner ear problem for. Are we gone? Or we just lose
Screenage.
stream?
We lost screenage. We are still.
Oh, we're still
on.
streaming. We'll just keep talking.
Still streaming.
So like I went through this whole inner ear problem where I went to a specialist, went to another specialist who recommended me to another specialist, and now I'm at the hospital that deals with this big problem. I've had all these scans and seen all these people, and they're like, well, yeah, you're kind of just fucked. Yep, there's a problem. Not 100% sure what it is.